What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories.
9WS. Chapter 151 Let's go. Kill through the Hawako Mundo. Advanced Eye Power. Evolve into Mangekyo Sharingan, and awaken Susanoo. The system is planning to let me drive another type of Gundam. After hearing the system prompt tone, the corners of Bai Chen's mouth turned up, revealing a surprised smile. To know, as early as a few months ago, when I was performing a mission in Zaraki District. Bai Chen in the process of fighting Yami. With the help of Wooden Golem Jutsu, he violently defeated the opponent with an absolutely crushing attitude. Then, under the spotlight, Bai Chen has already experienced the invincible pleasure of driving a Gundam. And now, after waiting for so long, Bai Chen finally ushered in another legendary peak pupil technique. Think of this, Bai Chen couldn't help but have an idea pop up in his mind. What if after summoning the giant wooden golem, I put a Susanoo armor on it? I'm afraid only the power at the Spirit King level can defeat the giant wooden golem, right? If we could go to the Shadow Realm and summon the giant wooden golem, then there would be no need to wait for the 1000-year blood war to begin, and Yinjia City would be destroyed. Bai Chen has even dreamed of it. Soon after, he relied on the ability he had just learned to control the Black Voice. And after finding the entrance to the Shadow Realm, the scene where he goes on a killing spree on the ice and snow plain where the Invisible Empire is located. Subsequently, later, I explained some things that need to be paid attention to. This ends the pre-war meeting on the Hawako Mundo expedition. Quickly, 3 days later, in the Technology Development Bureau. Dark green machine, you can't tell, Captain Yuli, is still a porn lover. At this time, in the open square on the bottom floor of the Scientific Research Building. Bai Chen, Zaraki Kenpachi, Byakuya Kuchiki, Komamura Sajin. The 4 Shinigami captains, and their respective lieutenants. There are also hundreds of officers and fieldmen from each division. In other words, all members of the expeditionary force are gathered here. Only, when you see the appearance of the large boundary crossing instrument. That is a completely different green color from other machines. The expressions of the team members became strange one after another. The eyes looking at Kuretsuchi Mayuri were also full of suspicion. There are not many people in this world who like green. It doesn't matter what color it is, it doesn't matter. As long as this machine can ensure the opening of the black cavity channel, it will be enough for all of us to arrive at Hawako Mundo smoothly. On his shoulder he carried the chipped Zanpakutō. Zaraki Kenpachi grinned, his rough voice full of excitement. Apparently, he couldn't wait any longer. I want to go to the deserted Hawako Mundo immediately and have a hearty fight. Enjoy the fun of fighting through the battle with Manos Grande and Arankar. And behind Zaraki Kenpachi, Madarame Makaku and Ace Chuan personally polished Zanpakutō respectively. Although I don't want to be as arrogant as Zaraki Kenpachi. Guo Yi looked excited and full of interest in the upcoming expedition. And among the crowd, as the adjutant of Division 9. Rukia, on the other hand, remained silent and stayed by Bai Chen's side obediently, almost to the point of never leaving. As the weakest captain, Rukia's current strength is even inferior to most of the lieutenants present. But, fortunately, I have Bai Chen's protection. Therefore, although she is nervous, she does not feel scared or worried. And at this time, Kuretsuchi Mayuri standing at the console. The eyes under the sunflower mask glanced at the entire audience and then warned in a deep voice. Next, I'll go to the automatic machine factory right away. When the black chamber is opened, you can enter the black chamber passage one by one according to the squad number. Finished. Kuretsuchi Mayuri raised her finger and clicked. As the start button on the console lights up red. This second, clang, the sound of machinery running was deafening. Then, under the absorption of the mysterious power of wood style on the surface of the instrument. Almost in the blink of an eye, a huge green Reiatsu light beam erupted from the inside of the boundary-piercing instrument. Then he suddenly broke through the skylight and shot straight into the sky. And along with it, there is also the majestic power of time. The surrounding space suddenly became slightly distorted. And the hundreds of Shinigami present all felt the kind of time and space fluctuations that penetrated deep into their pores. I have to admit, Kuretsuchi Mayuri's scientific research level is indeed one of the ceilings in the Shinigami world. Such a powerful power of time is indeed beyond the reach of ordinary people. Bai Chen stood in the crowd. Even if he passed Tong Li's reading 3 days ago. I have completely mastered the specific method of controlling the black cavity. At this moment, we are facing such huge fluctuations in time and space. Bai Chen still couldn't help but sigh. Subsequently. About less than 3 minutes. Under the amazement of the Shinigami team members. Forcibly opened up by the power of time, a large black tunnel appeared. Boom. Looking into darkness. A dark passage that seems to never end. Zaraki Kenpachi was excited. Komamura Sajin, and Byakuya Kuchiki had solemn expressions. Bai Chen, on the other hand, was as calm as ever. Next, just enter its 210 and go straight along the black cavity passage. Then use the coordinates set in advance by Kuretsuchi Mayuri. Then you will be able to reach your destination accurately, Hawako Mundo. Let's go. Take advantage of the power of time, when it is strongest. Set out now, the safety factor is the highest. Subsequently, under the command of Kuretsuchi Mayuri. Starting from the 6th Division where Byakuya Kuchiki is. 4 Shinigami captains, and their guest adjutants. There are also about 200 officers and soldiers in each squad. Everyone walked into the Black Passage in an orderly manner. That's all. It only took about half an hour. When the figure of the last Shinigami disappeared from the Black Cavity. The Black Cavity passage is completely closed. Temporarily closed. Captain Yuli, our next duty is to wait here for the return of Guy from the expeditionary force, right? Akin asked respectfully. Yes. Kuretsuchi Mayuri replied noncommittally. The only thing we need to do is to ensure the stability of the Black Cavity channel at all times so that it can be opened at any time. As for the rest, there is absolutely no need for more. With Bai Chen here, the expeditionary force will be extremely stable. He can even kill Haweko Mundo by himself. Chapter 152 Bai Chen suggested that the expeditionary force should split up. Advertise here. Soon after the expeditionary force entered the Black Cavity passage. After traveling for a while, we finally arrived at Haweko Mundo. At this time, outside of Haweko Mundo, the icy cold moon hung high above the dark night. Looking around, there is no end to the darkness in the entire sky. Suddenly, boom, a huge crack, like tearing a black cloth, it suddenly appeared violently in the night sky. Immediately afterwards, the members of Division 6 took the lead. There will be a total of 4 divisions in the follow-up, plus a small number of Kido members, and the medical team members of the 4th Division. Hundreds of Shinigami walked out of the Black Passage one after another. Then they landed on the sand dunes in an orderly manner. Finally reached. Is this the legendary Haweko Mundo? It seems more desolate and dilapidated than imagined. If you stay in a place like this for a long time, even a mentally healthy person will probably develop autism sooner or later, right? The Shinigami of the expeditionary force looked around. Look at the desolate, dilapidated and barren environment around you. He couldn't help but show a nervous and solemn expression. They all worked up their spirits and remained vigilant at all times. Oh, where's Manos Grande? How come there's not even a decent breath in a radius of hundreds of meters? Lousy doesn't come here to travel for free. Zaraki Kenpachi stands on the edge of a sand dune. The one eye not covered by the black eye patch. With Reiatsu perception, he looked around and groaned unhappily. In his induction, there are indeed virtual existences within a radius of several hundred meters. But these are weak and weak. Not even Manos Grande, just some of the most common virtual beings. Therefore, as early as in the process of traveling through the Black Cavity. Just because he couldn't wait to kill people, he was so excited that he was trembling all over and even more sleepy. After coming to Haweko Mundo, I didn't get what I wanted right away. His mentality naturally felt lost and very unhappy. Xiaojian, don't worry. According to the information provided by Kuretsuchi Mayuri, our current location is only the outermost area of Haweko Mundo. In these areas, it is naturally impossible to encounter a powerful hollow. Zaraki Kenpachi's shoulders. Little lowly Yachinliu explained patiently while smiling and comforting. And as soon as she finished speaking. Later, Bai Chen echoed. Bachinliu is right, Zaraki Kenpachi. If you want to kill someone, you can go directly to Zai Palace, where Espada should welcome you collectively. Bai Chen teased with a chuckle. And his words also slightly eased the solemn atmosphere. The Shinigami of the expeditionary force finally stopped being nervous and breathed a sigh of relief. So, what should we do next? Byakuya Kuchiki looked at Bai Chen and took the initiative to raise the topic. Because of Rukia, in the past 3 months, he often went to the 9th team to hang out when he had nothing to do. As time went by, the relationship with Bai Chen became more and more familiar. Although the commander-in-chief has not been clearly designated, who is the commander-in-chief of this expedition? But, Byakuya Kuchiki, the uncle-in-law, just acted. It was undoubtedly his acquiescence that Bai Chen was the talker he recognized. And next, the expeditionary force's action plan. It's best to let Bai Chen give advice. In this regard, Big Dog Captain Komamura Sajin has no objections. Instead, he looked at Bai Chen with the same tacit understanding. Apparently it was also acquiesced, this expedition was led by Bai Chen throughout the whole process. However, just when everyone thought, Bai Chen will give you a safe and sound plan. But I didn't expect it. Bai Chen actually made a suggestion that no one expected. Everyone, actually according to the original plan, this expedition only requires a large-scale clearing of voids in the edge areas. I don't really want to go deep into Zai Palace and fight to the death with Arankar and Espada. But, what Bai Chen said earlier. This is the task that the captain gave them in general at the captain's regular meeting. The purpose is to intimidate Haweko Mundo. At the same time, it also gives Central 46 a satisfactory result. But, for Bai Chen personally, if you only operate in the outer areas of Haweko Mundo, then he won't be able to go to the Forest of Manos Grande to check in. Therefore, since it is deeply trusted by everyone, and Zaraki Kenpachi has been shouting that he is going to Haweko Mundo to kill people, then simply change the plan. Ever since, Bai Chen looked at the other 3 Shinigami captains and continued. So it's safe to stay here. And as long as we stay for half a month, we can return home. But I think this level alone is not enough. Just being inoffensive does not really hurt the foundation of Haweko Mundo. So I suggest that everyone split up and decide whether to stay away from this area based on the degree of danger. As soon as Bai Chen finished speaking, he immediately aroused exclamation. What? Bai Chen, does this mean parting ways? Would it be too risky for everyone to separate rashly? Byakuya Kuchiki, Komamura Sajin, and several other lieutenants all changed their expressions. Subconsciously, I felt that the plan proposed by Bai Chen was too radical. This is Haweko Mundo after all. Home base of Manos Grande and Arankar. If each squadron acts separately. But if there is a riot in Haweko Mundo, all the Manos Grande will suddenly gather together. Wouldn't it be easy to be surrounded? But not everyone is against it. Zaraki Kenpachi and the battle squad he represents. All members expressed their support and strongly agreed to be able to act alone. Money is good. After all, in the past few months, influenced by Zaraki Kenpachi and influenced by his fighting philosophy, the members of Squad 11. Fighting have long been deeply engraved into the soul of Be the King. But now, I finally have an opportunity to fight freely without any restraint. The members of the combat team naturally cherish them very much. Therefore, along with Bai Chen, Zaraki Kenpachi agreed. Even if others were not so willing, they had to agree to Bai Chen's proposal in the end. And next, uncle, the expeditionary force will soon go separate ways. Bai Chen will lead the members of Division 9 to the forest of Manos Grande. Byakuya Kuchiki and Komamura Sajin, on the other hand, chose to stay in the outer areas and do their jobs conservatively. As for Zaraki Kenpachi, he is the most arrogant. He actually shouted that he would keep going forward. As long as he reached Zai Palace. Chapter 153 Espada takes the initiative. Advertise here. At the same time, just when the expeditionary force decided to go their separate ways. According to the wishes of their respective captains, clearing operations were carried out in different areas within Haweko Mundo. In the center of distant Haweko Mundo, the Palace of the Night stands like a white castle. Because of the blatant invasion of the expeditionary force. The Arankar Legion, which had learned the news from Aizen in advance, started a discussion meeting at the same time. Everyone, Master Aizen is right. The expeditionary force headed by Bai Chen has logged in at the edge of Haweko Mundo through the forcibly opened black tunnel. But there is a monitoring system, and every move they make is under our control. At this time, in the gloomy and empty hall, Zael Aporo stood on a high platform. He held a remote control in his hand, and he pressed the button. A beep, a huge projection screen dropped vertically from the roof. And the picture is playing on the screen. Surprisingly, it is the expeditionary force. After deciding to split up, the latest trends of each squad at the moment. Yes, the Shinigami are being monitored. From the moment they walked out of the dark tunnel. It has been trapped in the surveillance network built by Zael Aporo for hundreds of years. It's equivalent to a drone tracking 307 all the way. The Arankar Legion, on the other hand, thinks about countermeasures from a god's perspective. Oh, we didn't act together as a group, but separated ourselves. The Shinigami are too arrogant. On a platform not far away, Grimjow grinned in displeasure. The ferocious gaze that selects and devours people reflects the figure of every Shinigami in the surveillance screen. It seems like he wants to eat them all alive. According to Grimjow. The so-called expeditionary force, except Bai Chen, everyone else is rubbish. If Bai Chen protected him throughout the whole process, then he might still feel afraid. But now, the expeditionary force actually dispersed on its own initiative. For Grimjow, this is undoubtedly a God-given opportunity. It is the best opportunity to hunt Shinigami. He didn't think that except for Bai Chen, any of the other three Shinigami captains could beat him. This is the confidence of the Leopard King. This is also the reason why he is ranked 6th but often contradicts Ulquiorra in person. Grimjow's combat power indeed has enough arrogance. Of course, it's not just ADBG, him. Neutra, who also has a violent and moody personality, also showed disdain when he looked at the surveillance screen. It's obvious that he doesn't take Shinigami seriously. Neutra sneered. Let me tell you. Since the Shinigami are stupid and insist on separated and acting alone, instead of waiting for them to be eliminated, we should take the initiative to attack. These words of Neutra, it instantly detonated the entire atmosphere of Zai Palace. Manos Grande and Arankar who were present immediately became very interested. Taking the initiative. This is not a good idea. 7th Espada. Black Zamari nodded in agreement. The best way to stop the killing is to fight violence with violence. So as long as we kill all the Shinigami in one go as they advance, we can avoid the invasion of Zai Palace. As Espada, the level of loyalty to Aizen is no less than that of Ulquiorra's Espada. In Zamari's eyes, there is only Zai Palace. And just now, in the surveillance screen, the combat team led by Zaraki Kenpachi was heading in the desolate desert. Shockingly, they are heading towards Zai Palace. Therefore, according to Zamari, as the new captain, Zaraki Kenpachi is definitely a tough barbarian. Let this kind of guy get close to Zai Palace. I'm afraid, except for Espada, the other Manos Grande and Arankar might be slaughtered in a matter of minutes. Therefore, Zamari believes that the best way now is to intercept midway. Defeat each squad one by one. Then the Shinigami will naturally be completely defeated. Well, I agree with your proposal. Unexpectedly. Not just the thorns in the side who usually have the most grumpy tempers. Even the former king of Hawako Mundo, the Skeleton King, Baragan. At this moment, he was also crossing his shoulders with his hands, and said with a gloomy face and dissatisfaction. Although he is not convinced by Aizen and is planning to rebel at all times. However, as an ancient king who once ruled Hawako Mundo for a long time, Baragan is used to seeing the Shinigami invade Hawako Mundo, whom he once regarded as crawlers. Therefore, Baragan, who rarely takes the initiative to speak out in meetings, quickly expressed his stance this time. He even had the idea of taking action himself. Hee. Even the emperor can't sit still. It seems that all of us are in agreement. Zael Aporo laughed coldly. Although apart from Baragan, the other two Espadas in the top three, Stark and Harabel, did not speak out. But, considering their personalities, they are all relatively gentle. Therefore, Zael Aporo can directly confirm that, all members of the Arankar Legion, the desire to kill has overflowed. And next, it's the Espadas who choose their prey to serve as slaves. Although Master Aizen does not have permission, I can give you permission to attack. As for the target of hunting, you can think about it yourself. At this moment, as the steward of Zai Palace, Ulquiorra, who had been to Soul Society before and was defeated in a battle with Bai Chen, said coldly. Ulquiorra, you should seek revenge on Bai Chen, right? Zael Aporo Archfire Road. Why ask even though you already know? Even if he is stronger than before, I will not have any fear. Put your hands in your pockets. Ulquiorra's pale face revealed an outrageous coldness. Obviously, the Black Wing Demon has always been brooding over his embarrassing escape last time, and fantasizes about revenge against Bai Chen all the time. But now the opportunity is right in front of you. With Ulquiorra's character, there's no reason to back down. Subsequently, several other Espadas also chose their targets. Grimjow, on top of Komamura Sajin wearing a knight's helmet. Neutra, on the other hand, couldn't stand Zaraki Kenpachi's arrogance. As for Zamari, after learning the identity of Byakuya Kuchiki, he is the current head of one of the four nobles of Soul Society. Threatening to remove the sins from the other party's soul. That's all. Through this impromptu meeting, the Espadas decided to take the initiative. In the desolate desert of Hawako Mundo, have a decisive battle with the Shinigami captains. Chapter 154 Arriving at Manos Grande Forest. Advertise here. At the same time, just when Espada each chose the target of hunting and revenge. This is the Shinigami Expeditionary Force. After parting ways with other squads. Under the leadership of Bai Chen, the members of the 5th team moved all the way deep into the inner circle. Including Bai Chen and Rukia. There were more than 100 people in total, walking closely and orderly through the deserted desert. Rukia, how do you feel? Bai Chen asked with a chuckle. It's your first time coming to Hawako Mundo. You should feel scared, right? Yes. Being stared at by Bai Chen. Rukia's first reaction was not very good, she nodded meaningfully. You know, her current strength is only at the level of an ordinary official. If not following the expeditionary force. But if you come to Hawako Mundo alone. Don't talk about going deep inside Hawako Mundo, I'm afraid when it's in the outer zone. Rukia trembles every time she takes a step forward. Yes, not just because of fear. Always be on guard against possible attacks from all around. Also because of the harsh environment and the endless darkness above our heads. This claustrophobic and silent environment is filled with an atmosphere of deathly silence everywhere. Anyone who stays for a long time will inevitably have his or her mentality affected. Not to mention a young girl like Rukia. After all, she was just a first-year student a few months ago. Even if it's been a few months, Bai Chen has been trying to help Rukia improve her strength. But when it comes to actual combat, Rukia will still inevitably feel afraid and withdrawn. Don't worry, as long as I'm here, just treat this expedition as a trip. Bai Chen said with a smile. Been together for several months. He appreciates Rukia's character more and more. Although she has never been very confident because of her strength. But, Rukia has, stubborn, blood flowing in her bones. Bai Chen also believes that after experiencing this expedition, Rukia's self-confidence will be completely built up. And the gap between her and her peers, such as her former childhood sweetheart, Abarai Renji, will gradually widen. But, after a short chat, Bai Chen's thoughts returned to the beginning, which was the purpose of the separate actions, to find the forest of Manos Grande. Unfortunately, because this place is the nest of Yinma. In the past thousands of years, Shinigami had indeed arrived there during the previous waves of expeditions. Unfortunately, because inside the Manos Grande forest, there will be endless Manos Grande being born, and they will never be able to kill them all. Therefore, in the midst of fighting day after day, in the end, all the Shinigami were killed, and no one returned to Soul Society alive. Therefore, for the specific location of the Manos Grande forest, even in the information provided by Kuritsuchi Mayuri, there was no specific mark. And Bai Chen can only find his own way to find it. Captain Bai Chen. At present, it seems that the barren desert surrounding us will never end. If you keep walking aimlessly, it will be very serious for the physical strength and energy consumption of the team members. We must find the entrance to the Manos Grande forest as soon as possible. Previously replaced by Rukia, the former adjutant of the 9th Division. Coming to Bai Chen's side, he warned with a solemn expression. As the former adjutant of Division 9, he has always tried his best to assist Rukia. At the same time, he was always responsible for stabilizing the mentality of the team members along the way. But, the former adjutant of the 9th Division had already noticed it solemnly. The mood of the team members is no longer stable, and they are gradually showing signs of exhaustion. If this situation continues, it is inevitable that morale will be affected, and it may even cause the team members to be unwilling to continue deep inside Hueco Mundo. Therefore, the top priority is to find the Manos Grande forest as soon as possible. And enter it to fight with the Manos Grandes. According to the former adjutant of Division 9, only fighting are the best stimulants to boost morale. Well, you're right, we really need to find a solution as soon as possible. Bai Chen frowned slightly and looked around. 0. Please give me flowers. Then he lowered his head and looked at the barren desert beneath his feet. Forget it, since the ground won't work, let's just blast the surface. Then all of us can move forward along the tunnel. The reason why Bai Chen decided this way, it was because in his impression, in the original plot, Ichigo and others seemed to have fallen underground due to accidental collision. So we finally arrive at the Manos Grande forest. #Ba. Instead of aimlessly looking for the entrance, it's better to just use brute force to force an entrance. After saying that, after asking the chief officers and soldiers to retreat hundreds of meters one after another, Bai Chen raised his fingertips, pointed at the desert below, condensed Sero and blasted out. 0. Boom. The sound of flashing fried chicken resounded throughout the desert. And when the black spirit sun and the smoke and dust air waves all dissipated, everyone soon saw that a huge pit appeared in the originally rugged sand dunes in the blink of an eye. Get a little closer. Standing on the edge and looking down, you will immediately feel like you have fallen into an abyss. As expected of Captain Bai Chen, violence is indeed the best way to solve problems. Including Rukia, all members of Division 9 took a deep breath. Everyone is in awe because of Bai Chen's radical and violent style. Let's go, don't just stand there. Although it's not yet clear where this hole will eventually lead, it's at least a little more comfortable than staying on the ground. After saying that, Bai Chen took the lead and jumped lightly. The whole person jumped into the hole first. And with Bai Chen at the front, even the members of Division 9 were afraid of the dark underground. Now you can follow Bai Chen with confidence. Really. Under the leadership of Bai Chen, when everyone moves forward along the underground passage. After a period of exploration, I finally found the mysterious Manos Grande forest hidden in the depths. And Bai Chen is about to get his wish by checking in and signing in. Chapter 155 The Lost Rukia. Advertise here. Ding. Congratulations to host, the sign-in was successful. Get the reward. Eternal Mangekyo, Susanoo technique. At this time, deep underground, in a cave on the edge of the Manos Grande forest. The moment Bai Chen completed the sign-in, his pupil power suddenly increased exponentially. The original 3-Tomo Sharingan also evolved in situ because of this. Advanced into the new Eternal Mangekyo. Boom. Because the pupil power is too strong. Even if Bai Chen didn't do anything intentionally. The moment Eternal Mangekyo was born, it caused a roar and vibration in the air, as if a 100-magnitude earthquake was triggered out of thin air. The entire Manos Grande forest was affected. In the dim cave, countless rocks and vine roots rooted in the soil were scattered in all directions. Everything seems to be about to collapse. It brought fear deep into the souls of the members of Division 9 not far away. Everyone was deeply shocked by the scene of destruction in front of them. What a terrifying eye power. Even the air can't bear it at all. And the spirit in the air can't bear it anymore. It seems that Captain Bai Chen's eyes have evolved again. I didn't expect. In a ghostly place like the Manos Grande forest, Captain Bai Chen's power surged again. Now, even if he doesn't release Reiatsu, he can easily sweep the entire Manos Grande forest with just this eye power. The voices of exclamation kept coming and going. After feeling the majestic force coming from the front, the members of Division 9 were trembling. Out of instinct, they chose to join a group and huddled together in small groups. Even so, deep in my heart, there is still a constant source of fear. Even being in the eye power of the Eternal Mangekyo. The members of the 9th Division only felt a substantial pressure, and they were crushed directly over them. As a result, their right to breathe was instantly deprived. Everyone almost suffocated because of it. It's just because Bai Chen just finished signing in. Pupil power that emanates on its own without consciousness. Not targeting anyone intentionally. Whenever Bai Chen showed any signs of hostility just now. I'm afraid that at that moment, except for the stronger officers, everyone else's souls will be crushed to pieces. It can be seen that, how powerful is the power of Eternal Mangekyo. And it's just that he has just opened his eyes, and Bai Chen hasn't even used any pupil power. Although I am very happy for Bai Chen's improvement in strength. But as a result, the gap between Bai Chen and I has widened again. among the crowd, although under the protection of the team members. Rukia did not suffer too much pressure and was breathing normally. But, her expression suddenly turned gloomy. Especially when Rukia raised her head and looked at Bai Chen's back, her eyes were full of loss and inferiority. In the past few months, although he has always been protected by Bai Chen, this allows Rukia to adapt to new roles without any worries. But, her character is stubborn and strong. I don't like to rely too much on others. After arriving at Division 9, chasing Bai Chen became Rukia's goal. In the past few months, she has been working hard for this. She has not neglected daily training because of her status as Vice Captain, 3.8. Now in the situation of disagreement, Bai Chen's strength suddenly surged again. Faced with this situation, Rukia's emotions became very complicated. I am both happy, admiring Bai Chen from the bottom of my heart. But it also made me even more disappointed. Rukia even felt that the gap between herself and Bai Chen was too big. You are simply not worthy of being the adjutant of this excellent man. Chapter 156 Black Susanoo. Advertise here. At the same time, due to the birth of Eternal Mangekyo, the pupil power that exploded was simply too powerful. It's not just the area where Bai Chen and the others are. In a very short period of time, the majestic pupil power spread rapidly along the tunnel, and soon spread throughout the Tianshu forest. Instantly alarmed all Manos Grande here. Roar. Just when Rukia was feeling depressed, the members of Division 9 were still in shock. Suddenly, there was a roar in the distance. And this roar, when it echoed in the dark air, seemed to have opened Pandora's box, instantly awakening the entire Manos Grande nest. This caused countless Manos Grande Jillian to resonate one after another and emit even more sharp and harsh roars. That's all. It only took a few breaths before and after. The Manos Grande forest, which was originally dead silent and without any noise, suddenly turned into hell. Manos Grande's roaring voice filled every corner of this area. For anyone, just hearing the sound will make the eardrums tear. And what's even scarier is, except for roaring and roaring, groups of Manos Grande Jillian, in order to find foreign invaders, move in groups in the dark underground. Boom, 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 because of Jillian's size. And the moving speed is extremely slow. And when they got together and acted, an earthquake-like effect was produced in an instant. The entire space beneath the surface of the earth was. It kept shaking violently. Large pieces of gravel and tree roots fell in pieces. And the dim underground cave, after experiencing another vibration, seems to be really about to collapse this time. And faced with this unexpected situation, the members of Division 9 could no longer care about the shock. Everyone had the same panicked expression on their faces. No one expected it. Bai Chen's pupil power has advanced to the point where it will alarm the entire Manos Grande forest. This also means, their previous careful sneaking in the dark turned out to be useless in an instant. And what worries the members of Division 9 even more? The vibrating sounds and roars are obviously getting closer. This indicates that, the Manos Grandes are tracing back to the source of their pupil power, and they are coming here in droves. And when I think about it, I am about to fight endless Manos Grande. Even if Bai Chen, the captain, is right in front of him. The members of Division 9 have never left Soul Society before and it is their first time to come to Hueco Mundo. Still unavoidable, feeling creepy and intimidating. After all, this is Manos Grande's lair. And it is said that all the hollows in the Manos Grande forest can never be killed. Well, except for one-time extinction. Once you are surrounded, unless you can quickly break through the siege and leave the Manos Grande forest. If not, sooner or later, your spiritual power will fail. And when that time comes, even if Bai Chen is by his side to protect him. MB. The consequences are unimaginable. Don't be afraid. Currently, Manos Grande has not yet attacked. We must not get into trouble. As deputy captain, seeing his companions in panic, Rukia quickly regained her composure and stepped forward to comfort her with words. The former adjutant of Division 9 also echoed the words and consoled him. Vice Captain Rukia is right. Look over there, Captain Bai Chen. Not only does he have no plans to retreat, he is also using Kido to actively illuminate. And this behavior is obviously an active provocation. Former adjutant of Division 9. His eyes widened in excitement, he looked forward and said emotionally. Yes, just as he said, facing the rioting Manos Grande community, Bai Chen's first reaction was that he had no intention of covering the retreat of the team members behind him. Instead, he gave up singing and took the initiative to release a red cannon. Boom. When 257 a huge fireball took off. The blazing fire light instantly illuminated the entire underground. Just like the sun, you can easily look up and see it. Thus, it is equivalent to Bai Chen taking the initiative to expose his position. And shortened the time Manos Grande wanted to find them. And this also means, next, all the Manos Grande in the entire Manos Grande forest will rush towards the position of the light source. A feast of massacre is inevitable. Bring it on. All Manos Grande in Manos Grande's lair. Let me test the power of my Black Susanoo with you guys. Bai Chen stood alone on the high ground. With a calm expression, he looked at the shaking ground in the distance. In the black eyes, there is a strong look of expectation. After completely adapting to the skyrocketing pupil power, Bai Chen decided to use the new sign in ability to penetrate the entire Tianshu forest. Blow this place up permanently. Chapter 157 Dark Skeleton. Meet the gods. Advertise here. Bring it on. All Jillian inside the forest of Manos Grande. I don't know if you all combined can handle my black Susanoo. His back was turned to the members of Division 9. Bai Chen stood alone on a high place, looking down into the distance. With the help of the firelight emitted by the huge red cannon, his eternal Mangekyo reflects the Manos Grande community that is constantly gathering from all around, with no end in sight. Faced with such a terrifying scene, Bai Chen's heart has no fluctuations, but is full of expectations. After all, he has just awakened the eternal Mangekyo. And the pupil power also reached an unprecedented peak at this moment. Bai Chen's only thought at the moment is to vent the power of the eyes to the fullest and show the powerful power of the eternal Mangekyo. This is the reason why he deliberately threw a huge red cannon and lit up the entire Manos Grande forest. Because that's the only way. Only then can we attract enough Manos Grande communities at once. It is also more convenient for Bai Chen to eliminate them all at once. Although Bai Chen's original intention of coming here was just to complete the sign-in. But, even though he knew that the Manos Grande forest was the entire Hueco Mundo lair, Bai Chen didn't mind getting some results. In this case, when Guy came back half a month later, for the commander-in-chief in the 46th room, Bai Chen also has a proper reason to communicate, and may even receive praise. And next, because of Bai Chen's continuous infusion of spiritual power. After the huge red artillery took off, it did not go out as quickly as usual. But it keeps burning, until every dark corner in the Manos Grande forest is illuminated. Further attracting all the Manos Grande. Almost 90% of Manos Grande are constantly gathering here. Just kill them all at once. Then even in the depths of the Manos Grande forest, Manos Grande will still be born continuously. But if you want to restore such a huge scale and number, it will take at least dozens or hundreds of years. Then during this period, Soul Society will also have a long period of peace. After saying that, Bai Chen no longer procrastinates. As soon as his heart beats, his pupil power explodes, and the spiritual power in his body is released simultaneously. And the next moment, boom, the majestic entity Reiatsu. Surrounding Bai Chen, it quickly condensed into a group, and soon it had the shape of lines of blood and bones. And this weird scene, especially when dark Reiatsu rises from the sky, he turns into a black skeleton giant. It set off the whole audience in an instant. It brought a visual shock and impact that is indescribable to the members of the 9th Division at the rear. What kind of ability is this? Jiao Jiao Jiao. As this huge black skeleton, a creature summoned by Captain Bai Chen. My soul is trembling just by looking at it. I can't imagine how terrifying the destructive power of the Emperor and God will be if it condenses into shape. Including Rukia. All members of Division 9 stood frozen in place. Everyone's eyes were filled with awe when they looked at Black Susan. It's like looking at a real god. Chapter 158 Cut open the Manos Grande forest with one knife. Advertise here. At this time, the captains of Division 9 behind him watched with incomparable awe. Bai Chen is the magician. The whole body was shrouded in the majestic darkness Reiatsu. His face was calm, his arms were folded in front of him, and he was full of energy. Susanoo, truly worthy of being the ultimate pupil of the Uchiha clan in the ninja world. Currently, it is only in the initial stage, and the skeleton has just been condensed. It has such power that it can stand up to the sky. It's not hard to imagine that the complete Susanoo should be able to drive Gundam directly in the Soul King Palace, right? Bai Chen is very satisfied with the power of Susanoo. At this time, he has absolute defense. Unless Reiatsu is superior to Bai Chen. Otherwise, any external attack would be difficult to cause damage to Richen. And at the same time, Manos Grande below, after another period of gathering. The number is already outrageous. And this also means, it's time for Bai Chen to take action. Susa Spirit Blade, following Bai Chen's thoughts. The cold black spiritual power of the entity surged out from his body. Then follow the arm of the black skeleton giant. It quickly condensed into a huge spiritual power Zanpakutō. Boom. As Bai Chen raised his hand, black skull movements synchronized. The huge spiritual blade moved in midair, cutting the air instantly. In the empty Manos Grande forest, there was a huge roar. At the same time, it also further intensified the riots of Manos Grande. Roar. It seems that he felt Bai Chen's deliberate provocation. Countless Manos Grande Jillian let out beast-like roars, one after another like echoes, which sounded particularly penetrating. And this is a horrific scene. The members of Division 9 in the rear were immediately frightened on the spot. What a terrible roar, the Manos Grandes are completely rioting. If Captain Bai Chen hadn't been there to support me, I wouldn't have been able to bear it and run away immediately. Yes, this place is so terrifying. No wonder that during several expeditions in ancient times, whenever they came to the Taishu Forest store, the Shinigami of the expedition were always wiped out. Unless you are a captain-level Shinigami. Otherwise, Facing the infinite Manos Grande, no one else can sustain it for long. Or curl up, or crowd each other into a ball. Even though Bai Chen was protecting him in front, the huge Susanna stood tall and strong, exuding boundless power. At this moment, Manos Grande's roar roared, a horrific scene of collective riot. It immediately made the Shinigami of Division 9 seem to have lost their courage in an instant. Captain Bai Chen, he's going to clear out all the Manos Grande, right? Adolf Rukia clenched her hands nervously. When he looked at Bai Chen's back, his eyes were full of trust. Rukia was equally scared though. However, as long as Bai Chen is around, she will feel at ease. Rukia has always believed that Bai Chen will do what he says. Use this opportunity to completely clear the entire Manos Grande forest. Just as Rukia finished speaking. Boom. When Bai Chen raised his hand, he waved lightly. When slashing downwards with bare hands. The huge dark blade, carrying the terrifying power of killing everything, was aimed at the densest location of Manos Grande below. An invincible blow was struck. All of a sudden, it was like a sword that opened up the world. Even before it fell completely, the overflowing waves of Reiatsu alone crushed the entire Manos Grande. Bang bang bang. The sound of blood foam bursting. Like burning fireworks, the entire forest of Manos Grande was quickly dyed red. The originally dark and humid air now has a pungent smell of blood. Finally, when the dark spirit blade is completely chopped down, there was a loud bang, and the terrifying sword pressure poured out crazily. Like a wave of darkness, it engulfed Yingsu's bodies. Then, there is no sound, no wailing, no roaring, no roaring. Because of Susanoo's slashing sword, the Manos Grande forest, which was originally rioting, seemed to be cast under a silent spell. It suddenly became dead silent. Only the cut earth veins and the light shining from the sky. It shows that the entire Manos Grande forest was cut open with a single knife. Chapter 159 Grimjow's Thoughts. Boom. With Susanoo's shocking sword slash. After a loud noise, the Manos Grande forest, which was originally hidden deep under the surface of the earth, was split open by a sword. When the light shines through the cracks in the earth's veins. When it is reflected on the face. Rear. The members of Division 9 were stunned and also became extremely excited. This is too exaggerated. Not only did he kill all the Manos Grande Jillian with one sword, but he also cut open the entire Manos Grande forest. Captain Bai Chen's new ability is too powerful. At this time, looking at Bai Chen's back, and the huge black skull that enveloped him, including Rukia, the members of Division 9 just felt like they were meeting gods. Even in their opinion, the so-called strongest Shinigami is nothing more than this. This new Shinigami captain, you can really sweep the entire Hawako Mundo by yourself. And at the same time, just when the entire earth vein was cut open. Above the surface, a huge vibrating sound spread along the white desert. Along the way, a sea of sand was stirred up, and it quickly reached the center of Hawako Mundo. It instantly attracted the attention of those Espadas who had left Zai Palace after the regular meeting of the Arrancar Corps was disbanded. This movement is in the direction of the Manos Grande forest. It looks like Manos Grande's lair has been blown up. Somewhere on a sand dune. Grimjow, who was flying at high speed in midair, suddenly stopped. Then he frowned and looked in the direction from which the movement came. I immediately judged the general situation of the Manos Grande forest at this moment. Oh, I didn't expect it. The Shinigami Expeditionary Force would move so quickly. Not only did we reach the Manos Grande forest in such a short time, but we also blew it up. Put your hands in your trouser pockets. Grimjow grinned with disdain. Him at this time, focusing on Komamura Sajin wholeheartedly. And with intel provided by Zael Aporo, we have roughly determined the specific activity area where the detachment will be located. Therefore, despite the desire to fight, Grimjow couldn't help but want to go to the Manos Grande forest to find out. The Leopard King finally endured it. Because he knew very well that the person who blew up the Manos Grande forest was probably Yu Chen. And he is Ulquiora's target. Although he usually doesn't get along well with Ulquiora. But, in the case of consistent external communication. 0. Please give me flowers. Grimjow will not ask for trouble, and will compete with Ulquiora for prey. Moreover, how many kilograms or taels of strength do you have? Grimjow still knows it. He would not be so arrogant as to think that he would be Bai Chen's opponent. And if you rush to the Manos Grande forest alone, the final result will be to come thousands of miles away to kill someone. With the Black-Winged Demon's natural sensory nerves. If your guess is correct, I'm afraid Ulquiora has completely locked onto Richen's specific location at this moment, right? Think of this. The corners of Grimjow's mouth turned up in a teasing arc. He could already imagine it. Ulquiora's face during the ruthless pursuit. It must be non-stop and rush to the Manos Grande forest as quickly as possible. But, whether Ulquiora can complete her revenge. To be honest, Grimjow is not too optimistic about it. Bai Chen, but someone who even Aizen is afraid of. No matter how powerful Ulquiora is, she can still show her full strength in Hawako Mundo. But Grimjow still believes that Ulquiora's trip may be more disastrous than bad. Maybe the cold Black-Winged Demon. It is even possible to become the first Espada to be killed in Haweko Mundo. This is Grimmjow's truest evaluator at this moment. Chapter 160, the final conclusion. Advertise here. And at the same time. Just as Grimmjow guessed. In another place not far from the Manos Grande forest. Above midair. The flying figure of Ulquiorra. The moment the Manos Grande forest was exploded, I stopped instantly. This is Bai Chen's Reiatsu. Green eyes. There was an obvious ripple. Because I once had a face-to-face fight with Yudu in the Zaraki district of Rukongai. 7 or 80. Plus the Black Wing Demon clan. The innate sensory nerves are different from ordinary people, much more powerful than other species. Therefore, Ulquiorra could tell the difference easily. The movement coming from the Manos Grande forest was caused by Bai Chen's Reiatsu. He must have done it on purpose, right? Ulquiorra murmured coldly. He deliberately made such an exaggerated noise to attract me, or other Espadas, to the Manos Grande forest. Think of this. The depths of Ulquiorra's eyes. The indifferent look became a little more serious again. At the same time, the hostility towards Bai Chen in my heart has reached an unprecedented level. As Aizen's most loyal subordinate, he is also the steward of Zai Palace. Although the area near the Manos Grande forest is far away from Zai Palace. And Aizen also confessed it before. Never provoke Bai Chen unless necessary. Just wait until the time period is over. The Shinigami Expeditionary Force returns to Soul Society, and Haweko Mundo will return to normal. However, even though Ulquiorra has always been the calmest person among Espada. But he still felt it. It is the responsibility of every Sengen to eliminate the enemy and eliminate the Shinigami. Especially when in Zaraki district. Bai Chen once killed his former companion Yami in front of him. Therefore, regardless of identity or position. Or maybe it's revenge for the death of Yami. For Ulquiorra, the Void Forest is a good match. Ever since. Sound turn. Ulquiorra was not seen making any moves. The tall figure under the white uniform disappeared in an instant. Rushing to the Manos Grande forest at a speed that is invisible to the naked eye. This time, anyway, he also wants to end things with Bai Chen. At the same time, the edge of a crack in the ground split open by a sword. Wow, the light I haven't seen in a long time. It's so comfortable. Although the environment here is still very harsh, it is still much better than underground. Yeah, thanks to Captain Bai Chen. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to leave the Manos Grande forest so quickly. At this time zero, when the cold, bright moonlight. When it pours on you from the dark night sky. Everyone in the 9th Division cheered heartily and greedily breathed in the desolate air of Haweko Mundo. Yes, because the environment underground is really too bad. Even if I didn't stay in the Manos Grande forest for long. But the members of Division 9 are still eager to escape from the narrow, dark underground space as soon as possible. But, it's not long before they are happy. Suddenly. Boom. Coming from the direction of Zai Palace. 2.4. An extremely powerful Reiatsu is approaching here at an extremely fast speed. And after careful perception, the corners of Bai Chen's mouth suddenly turned up in a playful arc. This is Ulquiorra. It's just the right time. It's time to make a break. I just want to take this opportunity to experience the power of Susanoo, the complete body. Chapter 161. Go straight to the sword when you meet. Advertise here. Ulquiorra. I didn't expect him to be so brave. He actually dared to come to me. Although the Black Wing Demon's perception is very strong. But, Bai Chen who possesses the power of Shinigami Apex. In terms of perception ability, it will only be stronger than him. Therefore, as Ulquiorra's Reiatsu approaches quickly. Although Bai Chen recognized the person coming immediately, it was him. But that's all. Bai Chen has no intention of ordering his subordinates to respond in advance. Instead, he stood quietly on the edge of the dune, looking at the direction that Reiatsu came from. Confidently waiting for Ulquiorra's figure. Appearing on the distant horizon. If I guess correctly, in order to complete the revenge for the last time. During the battle later, Ulquiorra will definitely carry out the second stage of revenge at all costs, right? 03. When it comes to second stage return to blade, Bai Chen's black eyes flashed with a look of expectation. As Espada, the only one capable of two sword liberations. Ulquiorra has never shown this ability to any outsider. Even until now, the other Espadas, all the Arankars, don't know this secret. And Bai Chen knows, once Ulquiorra performs the second stage of return. Then, his strength after returning to the sword is very likely to be more than just ranking 4th. Possibly the strongest Espada, and at this time. Just when Bai Chen thought so. Soon, Ulquiorra's figure appeared on the horizon. And it keeps amplifying at a speed visible to the naked eye. This is Arankar. No, not just an ordinary Arankar, but a Vasto Lord level Arankar. It seems that this guy should be the legendary Espada, right? Even though Bai Chen is right in front of me. However, the moment when Ulquiorra's figure completely appeared. Members of Division 9, since I had never fought against Arankar before. And the knowledge about Espada is also known from rumors. And the powerful pressure of Vasto Lord. That kind of substantial pressure made everyone feel breathless. It feels like my scalp is numb. I didn't expect that. It's the terrible Vasto Lord. And Big Brother once warned that once you encounter an Arrancar above Ijukas in Haweko Mundo, you must find a way to escape. Among the crowd, Rukia's expression changed and she couldn't help feeling afraid. With her strength, even if she encounters an Arrancar subordinate officer, she may not be able to defeat him with certainty. Not to mention Ulquiorra, this Haweko Mundo is one of the few top Manos Grande. But, Bai Chen didn't give any orders. It seems that he plans to fight Vasto Lord Arrancar alone. Despite being the vice captain, the main thing Rukia does at the moment. It is to share the pressure for Bai Chen, and at the same time organize the team members to prevent everyone from falling into the fear of lying and worry. But, because I know Bai Chen's character well, therefore, even in my heart, I really hope that I can help. But Rukia still chose to obey the order obediently. This also means, next, all members of the 9th Division just need to evacuate this area as soon as possible. And just go to a safe enough location to watch the battle remotely. As for other things, that's not what weaklings like them should consider. Then, about less than a minute, Ulquiorra's figure, after flying at high speed, suddenly landed in the mid-air evidence. Bai Chen, 977. Ulquiorra lowered her eyes slightly. He looked at Bai Chen with indifferent eyes, and his voice sounded particularly cold. Ulquiorra, my once defeated general, it must have been a few months since the last battle. Facing Ulquiorra's hostility, Bai Chen raised his head, showed a faint smile, and said calmly. It seems that you already know very well that this time I am here specifically for revenge. Hear Bai Chen's sarcasm. Ulquiorra's indifferent pupils flickered slightly. Then there is no nonsense. He directly raised his right hand and reached out to touch his waist. Pull out Zanpakutō neatly. $. The familiar sword liberation language sounded. Block it. Black-winged demon. What's unexpected is that Ulquiorra has a calm and collected personality. Actually, when they first met, they chose to die without saying a word. Chapter 162 Sero vs. Bomb. Frontal crushing. Advertise here. Block it. Black-winged demon. No unnecessary nonsense. There were no probing confrontations. After a few months, we met again after a long absence. Because he is very aware of the strength gap between himself and Bai Chen. Therefore, Ulquiorra raised her hand. Without saying a word, he went straight to the end. And accompanied by the sword's words of liberation, it was conveyed in the cold air. This moment, inside Ulquiorra, dark green Reiatsu, surging upward. A huge wave of air lifted up the hem of the white skirt and violently surged around, setting off layers of sandstorms. Boom. Terrifying momentum. It caused a huge roar in the air. Instantly, it brought unbearable fatal oppression to the members of Division 9 in the distance. This momentum is too terrifying. Vasto Lord's power is indeed as powerful as the rumored one. Just the moment he released his power, the entire desert fell into a riot. It's hard to imagine how powerful this black-winged demon would be at its fullest. At this time, all members of Division 9 gathered behind the sand dunes and held tightly together to perform the Reiatsu release together. With a temporary Reiatsu barrier constructed, only then could he barely resist the terrifying Reiatsu bombardment that kept coming from the front. Vice Captain Rukia, in the face of such a powerful enemy, we collectively stood by and did nothing. Is this really okay? One of the judges. It seems that he has a bad conscience. When looking at Bai Chen's back in the distance, he asked with self-blame in his heart. Quote. I know you want to try your best to do something. But, do you think that in this situation, even if all of us intervene collectively, what help can we give to Captain Bai Chen? Rukia looked at the chief officer and asked calmly. Speechless silence. Rukia asked this question. Those chief officials named, Baiquan, were immediately stunned. After a moment of silence, he nodded helplessly. Oh. Yes. Vice Captain Rukia, you are right. The strength of the Black-Winged Demon is obviously superior to that of the ordinary Shinigami captain. And the gap between us and it has widened by several levels. If we all rush into the battlefield, not only will it fail to help, but it will also hinder Captain Bai Chen. After saying that, the look of self-blame in Baiquan's eyes deepened. As a member of the 9th Division, during the Haweko Mundo expedition, Bai Chen might be implicated. At this moment, in his heart, he is an incomparable daughter-in-law. I am even more full of admiration for Bai Chen. Don't say anything else. Just step up, facing the pursuing Black-Winged Demon alone. Such behavior is enough for the members of Division 9 to remember it for the rest of their lives. And at this time, after the Reiatsu wave dissipated, Ulquiorra also became the true form of the Black-Winged Demon. Those huge black wings stretched out to cover the sky and the sun. Bai Chen. I might as well tell you, since the last battle. With the help of Zael Aporo, my strength has increased again and I have become stronger than before. The words fell. The obviously cold and indifferent voice still stayed in place. But Ulquiorra's figure suddenly appeared in front of Richen. He raised his hand mercilessly, pointed it at Bai Chen's chest, and performed a signature action, condensing Sero. Oh, is this the trick again? You don't seem to know. I can also Sero. Look within the field of view. Swirling, Concentrated dark green flashes. Bai Chen shook his head disapprovingly, and while letting out a disdainful laugh, he imitated Ulquiorra's actions. Understatement. Lift your fingertips. ... Boom. Green Sero than Blackwing Demon. Black Sero, who was obviously several times more powerful, instantly blasted out the weapon. Because the flash exploded in an instant. And Ulquiorra is still condensing Sero. Therefore, he had no time to dodge, and his body wrapped in black wings was instantly blown away. At the beginning of the battle, the frontal Sero was under attack. In front of the members of Division 9, Bai Chen was easily defeated. Chapter 163 Ultimate Power. The second stage returns to the edge. Boom. As Black Sero explodes, the black explosive power was like a black curtain covering the sky, instantly drowning Ulquiorra's figure. And with the explosion, this is an endless desert. Then there was a horrific riot, like a magnitude 100 earthquake. And affected by this, he even hid on the periphery for a long time. The members of the 9th Division who participated in the joint mission of Reiatsu were affected by the aftermath of the explosion. Or be overthrown, or the figure staggers, and even if he didn't fall, he would still be trembling because of fear. This is too exaggerated. The Sero battle between Captain Bai Chen and the Blackwing Demon seems to be about to penetrate this barren desert. For the sake of safety, should we continue to retreat? Wait until we reach a safe enough 610 position. What about watching the battle remotely? Some team members couldn't help but suggest. Joke. Obviously the battle has just begun. But Bai Chen and Ulquiorra started a Sero battle as soon as they came up. If the battle situation escalates and the intensity of the battle continues to increase. Almost without even thinking about it. The current location is absolutely unsafe. If he continues to stay where he is and watch the battle, he might not be able to tell the winner before the two of them. My life is already at risk. Ever since. Members of Division 9. The only thought at the moment ADFJ is to run away quickly. Make sure to save your own life first, so that you will not be intimidated again. Then behind. Cheer for Bai Chen and shout cheers. Well, you are right. Face the demands of the team members. As the vice captain, Rukia did not object. After serious consideration, he nodded and said, how about this, while the smoke and dust have not dissipated yet? All of us, please retreat for now. Otherwise, we will be affected by the smoke and dust waves every day. In the end, all innocent people will be injured in vain. In order to avoid subsequent battles, cause trouble to Bai Chen and distract him. Rukia made a decisive decision and led all members of Division 9 to retreat. Quickly. In an instant, there were nearly 200 people. While continuing to keep Reiatsu out, evacuate towards the rear in an orderly manner, staying not far away from this combat area. And at the same time, all members of Division 9. They had just retreated not long ago. In the center of the desolate desert, the terrifying wave of smoke and dust gradually dissipated. After the Blackwing Demon was bombed, the embarrassed and injured appearance also appeared in the field of vision again. Call. At this time, Ulquiorra gasped. The surface of the slender body is covered with scars. You can see traces of burns caused by the explosion everywhere. What's even more shocking is that, on Ulquiorra's back, those huge black wings that cover the sky. Nearly 2/3 of the area disappeared, if it were not for giving up the power of high-speed regeneration during evolution. I'm afraid at this time, Ulquiorra has become completely disabled. Bai Chen, I have to admit that my behavior just now was indeed overestimating my own capabilities. His green eyes remained as cold as ever. When speaking, Ulquiorra's tone was no different from before. Just a little more depressed. But, the conversation changed. He then pretended to be strong and provocative. But don't think that returning to the sword in Japan is my limit. Next, let me show you the ultimate power of Arrancar. Apparently, it is not difficult to hear from these words. Ulquiorra is preparing to perform the second stage return, chapter 164 The Posture of the Devil. Cipher. Let you see the ultimate power of Arrancar's return. At the same time, he is also the Blackwing Demon, the final form that makes people despair. When the figure emerges from the smoke and dust, after reappearing in embarrassment. Although the pair of black wings behind it cover the sky and the sun. More than 2/3 of the area has completely disappeared. But, relying on the power of super speed rebirth, Ulquiorra's injuries have been repaired visibly, even in the middle of his speech. There is already a black wing that has grown completely again. And Ulquiorra's momentum is rising steadily. It soared into the sky again, causing fluctuations in the barren desert. Boom. The sky is filled with sand and sea. In a deafening noise, within Ulquiorra, there was a Reiatsu that was deeper and more majestic than before. No longer dark green. Instead, it turned into a terrifying black color. Like a dark waterfall, a huge force bursts out from the body. And the figure of the Blackwing Demon. Wrapped in darkness, it transforms as power is released, gradually evolving towards a higher level of life. And after seeing such a scene full of horror, the members of Division 9 far away from the battle circle. I couldn't help but tremble again, and exclaimed in unison. No, it's true and false. Blackwing Demon, are you planning to carry out the second stage of return? Just in this form, the pressure is already strong enough. I didn't expect that he could actually be killed twice. This is too scary. Although Ulquiorra looked miserable just now, it was obvious that she had no power to fight back in the confrontation with Bai Chen. But the members of Division 9 understand in their hearts, this is not because Ulquiorra is weak. Simply because Richen is too strong. If the opponent were someone else, Ulquiorra might have the upper hand. It is said, Arrancar's return blade is similar to our Zanpakutō in principle. With each level you advance, your Reiatsu and power will increase exponentially. Among the crowd, former deputy captain of Division 9. The current assistant adjutant said in a deep voice with a solemn expression. If this statement is correct, doesn't that mean that the process of returning to the original phase of the sun will be over later? Then the power of the black-winged demon will be several times more powerful than it is now. When saying these words, the adjutant's body couldn't help but move like a wolf. Feeling uneasy and scared from the bottom of my heart. Based on the original foundation of Vasto Lord, continue to make upward breakthroughs. Just thinking about it makes me feel terrible. And at the same time, just when everyone showed fear and continued to riot. Far away, within the battle circle, the second stage of returning to the edge is over. The new posture of the black-winged demon was also completely exposed to everyone's eyes. At this time, Ulquiorra emerges from the dark Reiatsu. The appearance is completely different from before, a complete change. What I was originally wearing, the white Zai Palace uniform, was completely turned into powder at this time. His whole body is covered with black fur. There is a pair of sharp black horns above the head, and there is a slender tail whip at the tail. The whole person looks like a devil, and this dark form also exudes endless oppressive power. The atmosphere on the battlefield instantly became dark. As if dominated by the black-winged demon. Chapter 165 Big Move. Thunder Spear. Advertise here. Black fluff. Black sharp corners. A slender tail whip like a whip. Ulquiorra's demonic form after completing the second stage of return. From the dissipating waves of smoke and dust. Once again, it was exposed in front of everyone. This dark form exudes infinite oppression. Of course. It instantly caused an exclamation. What a terrible gesture. This momentum, this pressure of 383 inches, is almost as strong as the captain. It seems that after performing the second stage return to blade, the strength of this black-winged demon has probably reached the peak of Arrancar, right? Fortunately, Captain Bai Chen is here, otherwise, we would have faced such a powerful enemy. Otherwise, even if our number were 10 times greater, I'm afraid I will be massacred instantly by the black-winged demon. The rear of the battle circle. All members of the 9th Division were trembling. When everyone looked at the black-winged demon, the eyes are full of fear, and I feel scared from the bottom of my heart. They were secretly glad. Fortunately, Bai Chen was right in front of him to protect him. Otherwise, if he was not present and could withstand most of the pressure from the momentum. So, Ulquiorra even stood still. The perfect black-winged demon, with its innate powerful aura, can oppress and suffocate everyone in an instant. Everyone, don't panic. Believe in Captain Bai Chen. No matter how strong the opponent is, he will continue to defeat the enemy with stronger power. Even though it was felt the same. The oppressive power displayed by Ulquiorra. But, Rukia's heart has not wavered at all. As always, she has unwavering trust in Bai Chen. Rukia thinks. Today's aura oppression is only temporary. After returning to the sword in the second stage, the aura of the black-winged demon will soon be suppressed again by Bai Chen. Just when Rukia was thinking. The moment when the smoke, dust and air waves completely dissipated in the battle circle. Ulquiorra spoke coldly. Bai Chen, you must have felt it, right? After returning to the sword in the second stage, my power has become unprecedentedly expanded and powerful. Become the master of the night. After showing the strongest posture of the black-winged demon. Ulquiorra's mood is neither joy nor sorrow, but full of confidence. So what? Facing the other party's cold eyes. Bai Chen asked calmly. It seems that your self-confidence has also expanded along with your strength. It seems that you think you can defeat me. Not to mention that it has been known for a long time, the secret of second stage return to blade. Guan is relying on not long ago. In the Manos Grande forest, hit Hitomi after the boil. There is no possibility for Bai Chen to be afraid. He felt that even in this form, Ulquiorra's strength is just barely passable. If only it could be a little stronger. That's great. Otherwise, Bai Chen has absolute confidence. When he burst out of Tongwan with all his strength without reservation. The perfect Susanoo who stands tall and tall. The spirit blade in your hand can cut through mountain peaks and open up the world with one blow. Just cut it down with one sword. The black-winged demon will be killed if he stands 1.7 horses. What do you think? Ulquiorra raised her eyes coldly. Then raise your hands and gather them together around your body. Then, open your arms and extend them outward at the same time. Substantial, dark green Reiatsu surged violently between his hands. And sounded together with this oppressive force. There is also the black-winged demon, with a cold voice filled with murderous thoughts. Thunder Spear. Chapter 166 Ultimate Power. Peak Pupil Power. Advertise here. Thunder Spear. Ulquiorra raised her hands outward. In the center of the palm, dark green Reiatsu condensed into a ball. Quickly, under the horrified and fearful gazes of the members of Division 9, it condensed into a spirit spear. Boom. The smell of terror. One after another, the thunder gun continuously overflowed, causing the air to roar in an instant. White. It's my turn for revenge and counterattack in the next 03 days. When the cold voice, the moment it comes out of the tongue. Ulquiorra's figure seemed to have traveled through time and space instantly. Repeating the same trick again. Teleporting in front of Bai Chen, he then used the thunder gun in his hand to slash at Bai Chen's vital parts. Captain Bai Chen, be careful. The moment when the thunder spear fell. The nervous reminders from the members of Division 9 were also heard from the distance. But, seeing that the thunder gun is about to hit. But what happened next instantly stunned everyone, including Ulquiorra. That is because, brush, against Ulquiorra's indifference. Bai Chen confidently reached forward, grabbed the thunder spear with his bare hands, and emitted the Reiatsu of the Shinigami page. How can it be? My strongest killing move since the second stage of return. It's actually, that I was held by my bare hands so easily. Ulquiorra's pupils suddenly contracted. There was an expression of disbelief and shock on his pale-skinned face. And the self-confidence that comes with returning to the second rank. At this moment, I was quickly replaced by self-doubt. Yes, when you think you can turn the tide of the battle with your ultimate move. But when he first used it, he was gently held by the opponent with his bare hands. All deterrence was lost in an instant. Facing this circumstances, Ulquiorra didn't react at all. Before he returned to the sword in the second stage, he never expected it in advance. The hope of a comeback. Just like that, it was destroyed in an instant. But, when Ulquiorra's mentality wavered, Bai Chen's face-to-face taunting made his mood even worse. Ulquiorra, are you really naive to think? Can your Reiatsu and strength after second stage return be equal to mine? After saying that, not waiting for Ulquiorra to respond, Bai Chen thought, the eternity in his eyes Mangekyo. Instantly releasing the unparalleled ultimate eye power. Boom. 230. Dark and cold Reiatsu. From Bai Chen's body, ferocity and madness overflowed. In just a few breaths. Not only did it shatter the thunder spear. Even the figure of the black winged demon was knocked away. And along with this burst of powerful Reiatsu appeared. There is also the ultimate eye power of eternal Mangekyo. As well as the ultimate pupil technique. Bai Chen's long-awaited, complete Susanoo. For a moment, the entire barren desert fluctuates. As Hitomi and Reiatsu combine and condense with each other. A behemoth that towers over the sky and the earth. Also appeared with a bang. Chapter 167. Really Drive Gundam. Advertise here. Boom. Huge waves of smoke and dust. Soaring straight into the sky. In this barren desert, a huge sandstorm broke out. This moment, the whole Hawako Mundo is in shock. It was as if an unprecedented earthquake of magnitude 100 occurred out of thin air. And what's even more shocking is, in the flames of the explosion, the cold and dark entity Reiatsu condensed into a giant that towered over the sky. Peak pupil power. The ultimate eye technique of the Uchiha clan. It is also Bai Chen's long-awaited, complete Susanoo. What's this? A dark warrior holding a katana. He's too big. I didn't expect it. The spiritual power of an entity can actually reach such an extent. This kind of power that destroys the world. I'm afraid it has surpassed the peak of Shinigami. At this time, members of Division 9, everyone looked up at the sky in astonishment. In everyone's eyes, the huge body of the complete Susanoo was reflected. Dark armor covering the whole body. A huge dark fabric that blocks out the sky and breaks the sun. And two dark blades that seem to possess the power to create the world. Look at this dark god of war who combines offense and defense with invincible momentum. The pupils of the members of Division 9 were shocked. Everyone was stunned. Everyone was shocked by this shocking scene, which directly subverted their three views. It seems that the giant skeleton that I saw in the Manos Grande forest before was just the prototype in its initial stage. The adjutant helped swallow. Looking at the completely dark Susanoo, she exclaimed with admiration. The invincible dark warrior in front of us. This is the strongest form of its full power. I'm afraid the entire Hawako Mundo will be cut open with one strike of the sword later. Just staring. The adjutant assisted, and he felt that his soul seemed to be about to collapse. Completely unable to withstand the pressure brought by the perfect body Susanoo. Even he, who was the vice captain at the time, was like this. Not to mention everyone else. This moment, Rukia is also good. The other chairs and team members all had the same feeling. They felt like they couldn't help but want to worship. Yes, look at the perfect Susanoo standing tall and tall. Everyone seemed to be meeting the gods. A dark god descends from the sky and is about to dominate Hawako Mundo. But, the moment when the pupil power exploded just now. The figure of the black winged demon was directly blasted 1,000 meters away. Could it be that his body was crushed directly by this momentum? One of the judges, looking in the direction where Ulquiorra's figure disappeared. At this moment, there was no longer any fear in his eyes. When I mention the black winged demon, I just feel pity for him. If, before, at the moment of second stage return, Ulquiorra gives people the feeling that they are like the master of the night, high above. Be extremely holy. After the airborne Susanoo, who truly represents the invincible complete body. Black-winged demon. It looks like a little bat crawling and flying next to the giant. As long as Susanoo lifts her feet completely, one kick can trample it into a bloody mess. These are the members of Division 9. The most real feeling at the moment. And at this time, in everyone's amazement, Bai Chen crossed his shoulders with his hands, and his figure flashed directly into the sky. Standing firmly on top of the perfect Susanoo. Compared to wooden golem jutsu. The complete Susanoo is the real Gundam. Standing thousands of meters in the air. Condescendingly, looking down at the desolate desert below that has become smaller. The corners of Bai Chen's mouth turned up. He showed a satisfied smile. Although in the Zaraki area, when fighting the angry beast Yami. He also used the secret technique of wood style. Gathered and summoned a giant wooden golem, and defeated Yami with it. But, due to the level of Rei Nord's pressure, and the strength of Reiatsu, there has been a qualitative transformation compared to then. Therefore, Susanoo is a complete form condensed from dark spiritual power. Regardless of size, scale, or momentum, it's not on the same level as the huge wooden golem back then. And at this time, Bai Chen has strong self-confidence, he hardly needs to do anything. Just drive the Gundam and sweep all the way. As long as you continue to inject spiritual power, you will be able to complete the form of Susanoo. Once you arrive at Zai Palace, it's easy to annihilate Espada. Destroy the Arrancar Legion with one man. No problem. Chapter 168 Your ultimate move. Only suitable for Gua Sha. Advertise here. At the same time, at the moment when the perfect Susanoo comes. The soaring momentum not only makes Hueco Mundo's artificial canopy crumbling. Even Zai Palace, which is far away in the center. Manos Grande and Arrancar who did not go out but stayed there. Everyone felt this moment of uprightness. Hueco Mundo has the strongest momentum ever seen from ancient times to the present. The entire Arrancar Legion. Because of this, he instantly became a mess. At this time, the huge palace was shaking violently. The invincible aura of the complete Susanoo caused this huge white palace to vibrate at high frequencies that are unbearable for ordinary people. What a terrifying momentum. What happened outside Hueco Mundo? Are Ulquiorra, Grimjow and the others already fighting with the Shinigami? But even if 943 is Gui Ren, or even the Bankai of the Shinigami captains, they may not be so powerful. It actually directly affected the entire Hueco Mundo from a long distance away. Arrancar's body. With the high-frequency vibration, he kept stumbling. Many of the weaker Arrancar fell to the ground in embarrassment, trembling all over. No way. This breath is really terrifying. This is despite being thousands of miles apart. Unimaginable. If the distance is shortened. Just appear in front of you. I'm afraid. Everyone present, whether it's the Espada, the subordinate officer, or the lowly Manos Grande. Everyone's soul. They will all be forcibly crushed because of this terrifying momentum. The situation is not optimistic. Zael Aporo frowned. The eyes under the glasses were filled with a strong look of worry, and he said. If I guess correctly, judging from the direction of the momentum, it should be near the Manos Grande forest. And that's where Ulquiorra left. Hear his words. Others Arrancar understood instantly. So, it is indeed Bai Chen. There is only him, the man who once killed Tusen Kanami and made Lord Aizen afraid of him. Having the ability to control such terrifying power. When the name, Bai Chen, is mentioned. Better than the top three Espada, Stark, Baragan, and Haribel. Not going out at the moment. They have no intention of fighting Shinigami. Everyone's expression quickly became solemn and full of fear. Always despised Shinigami. Baragan, who regarded Shinigami and humans as tiny reptiles, remained silent for the moment. Neither grunted, nor did he speak. Instead, he put his hands on his shoulders. Sitting there, silent, completely without the arrogant attitude of the past. Obviously, in front of the aura of the complete body Susanoo. The skeleton emperor dare not touch porcelain at all. CCAC, as the former king of Hueco Mundo, he knows better than anyone present how terrifying this power is. This is Hueco Mundo since 10,000 years ago. The invincible power that has never appeared before, truly overcoming everything. Return to the battlefield, just as the whole Hueco Mundo shook. Waves of smoke and dust gradually disperse. The figure of Ulquiorra, who had been bounced thousands of meters before, also reappeared in everyone's sight in a panic. The black-winged demon appears. Under the influence of high-speed regeneration, he doesn't seem to have any serious injuries. When the captains of Division 9 looked over, Ulquiorra was found intact, and the black wings behind her quickly recovered. And in his hand, he still held the Thunder Spear. Only, when I saw this demonic image again, members of Division 9 will never feel afraid again. Because, the body of the black-winged demon, in front of the perfect Susanoo. As small as a black dot, it's really not the members of the 9th Division who deliberately despise the evil scheming devil. It's such an exaggerated visual gap. It will only make people feel that the combat power of the two sides is too disparity. The Shinigami even think so. The best choice before Ulquiorra now. That means running away without any hesitation. Otherwise, as long as the Dark Martial God raises his hand, he will wave the giant sword that created the world. The Black-Winged Demon's body will be removed immediately. Together with the entire Haweko Mundo land, cut into two people. And Bai Chen himself thinks so too, standing on top of the perfect Susanoo. Bai Chen looked down at the Black-Winged Demon like a creator, and asked. Aren't you going to run away? Faced with my peak eye power, don't you still naively think that the thunder gun you hold in your hand can cause any harm to the complete Susanoo? In Bai Chen's eyes, he flashed a look of contempt and sneered mercilessly. Ulquiorra, in front of my eyes, your ultimate move is only worthy of scraping. Chapter 169 Death. Return to nothingness. Advertise here. Ulquiorra, don't you understand yet? Standing on top of the perfect Susanoo, Bai Chen folded his arms around his body and looked down at the other person condescendingly. In plain words, revealing absolute contempt. Your ultimate move, the so-called Thunder Spear, is only suitable for scraping in front of me. Show no mercy. Every word is heartbreaking, but face these words. After returning to the sword in the second stage, Ulquiorra, who completely transformed into the Black-Winged Demon, became silent in a rare moment. Yes, even he admits it himself. The power of the second level of Return Sword, in front of Susanoo, a complete body comparable to a god, is like the gap between a mortal and a god. If nothing else, just the huge difference in body shape. This is destined to be a battle that will never be won. But, Bai Chen, don't think that words of disdain and provocation can make me put down my arms. Even if I can't really hurt you, I will throw the Thunder Spear in my hand without hesitation. After saying that, the Black-Winged Demon is true to his word. Under the gazes of Bai Chen, Rukia, and the members of Division 9. His eyes were deep. Raise your black fluffy arms. Then he threw it towards the sky with all his strength. Brush. With the blessing of the spirit. Even the Thunder Spear quickly jumped into the air. Complete body Susanoo's height. It's thousands of meters high. Therefore, the range of the Thunder Spear. In the end, only half of it was reached. In midair, the abdomen of the Dark Warrior exploded with a bang. Boom. There was a loud bang. The explosion of light shone across the sky. A huge, dark green Reiatsu storm. Like a rising mushroom cloud, it brought up a pillar of green garden treasure light that reached the sky. Its diameter is huge, almost hundreds of meters in range. The sea of sand shook in an instant, and the entire Haweko Mundo was affected. Suddenly a flying sandstorm formed. The scene of destruction that changes the color of the sky. And when the aftermath of the explosion spread to all directions, it has already retreated to a distant place. Members of Division 9 in an absolutely safe area. Even if you have already made defense preparations. Still at this moment, I was hit by a fierce air wave. Good thing. There is strength in numbers. Finally successfully resisted. There is no danger, and the danger is successfully turned into safety. So strong. It's truly the ultimate move. With just one shot, the scope of the explosion actually spread over thousands of miles. It almost exploded from the sky all the way through the earth. Members of Division 9, while sighing at the power of the Thunder Spear. While looking up at the sky concerned about the condition of the perfect Susanoo. Really, it puts them at ease. When the huge wave of smoke and dust caused by the explosion dissipated. Like a dark warrior god. The perfect Susanoo who stands tall and tall. Please give me flowers. Its thick dark armor surface did not leave any traces of explosions. In other words, even if there is, with the transmission of Bai Chen's spiritual power, it will be restored to its original state in an instant. After seeing this scene, the members of Division 9 were not surprised. Instead, I take it for granted. In the face of the absolute spiritual power gap. Any ultimate move, all means, everything is in vain. It's just the last desperate struggle. And in fact, Bai Chen did not intend to give Ulquiorra any chance to resist. -0. Ulquiorra, it is undeniable that after the second stage of return, you did try your best to make a desperate attempt. But it turns out that the gap between us is as far apart as heaven and earth. Bai Chen shook his head indifferently. These cold words were like an ultimatum. And hear his words. Ulquiorra's expression was flat. No joy, no sorrow, no desire, and no intention to refute. He just lowered his eyes weakly. This move, it shows that the cold-hearted Black-Winged Demon has completely understood his destiny. Next, what he will face is death. And after death, you return to nothingness again. It is the Black-Winged Demon clan. Things you believe in at this time. So, for Ulquiorra, death is not uncomfortable, but it is after suffering all the humiliation. The best ending of liberation. Chapter 170 The End. Kill the Black-Winged Demon. Advertise here. Maybe for many people, death represents failure, but also pain and suffering. But, Ulquiorra at the moment, the empty and emotionless heart doesn't think so. It is undeniable that, the moment when he insisted on leaving Zai Palace. In his heart, his true thoughts are that he really wants to avenge Yami. But, after realizing the power gap, Ulquiorra immediately understood that even after returning to the second level, there was a huge disparity in strength between him and Bai Chen's 261. Not on the same level at all. The difference in quality is so great that it makes people despair. Therefore, use all your strength. Throw the thunder spear. After trying it, Ulquiorra has no regrets and chooses to obey her fate. That is to say, he is ready to be obliterated. Have you given up? It's a wise decision. Looking at Ulquiorra. The moment you see the other person put down their arms and release their palms. Bai Chen nodded slightly. He cast an approving glance. Put aside the old and new grudges and the antagonistic relationship between them. Actually, Ulquiorra's behavior, whether it was invading Soul Society before, or now traveling through the desert to seek revenge. There is nothing intrinsically wrong. He was just standing in the shoes of Arrancar and Haweko Mundo. Come form as the responsibility of Espada, only. But, this is the rule. The weak will eat the strong and the weak will be eliminated. This is Haweko Mundo's eternal survival rule for thousands of 10,000 years. And now, Ulquiorra faced. It's just like those Manos Grande who were wiped out and devoured in the past, because they were defeated in the battle and faced death. There was a moment of silence. Under the pressure of the perfect Susanoo. Ulquiorra raised his eyes, looked at Bai Chen and said expressionlessly. Let's do it. No matter what means you use, end my life completely. Although the volume is not loud. But he showed firm determination. And after saying this, Ulquiorra's eyes completely lost their luster. No feelings, no fluctuations, not even a trace of regret. Just like what he has always believed in, the way of nothingness, there is nothing greater than grief. Of course, as Captain Shinigami, I will not be merciful at all. Even if you don't say it, I will take action right away. After saying that, Bai Chen raised his hand. And under his feet. Dark Martial God, the complete Susanoo, synchronized with Kang's movements. With the huge arm raised. That dark katana that can cut through the sky. The extremely sharp blade sank vertically into the depths of the sky. In Ulquiorra himself, as well as all the members of Division 9 in the distance, they watched with extremely shocked eyes. Snap. Dark blade. Falling from the sky. It carries the power of destroying heaven and earth. He slashed at Ulquiorra's tiny body. Ulquiorra. If I say, farewell, to you, it would be an insult to you, right? Bai Chen's voice, simultaneously passed down from the sky. So, be at ease and let go, die together with nothingness. Bai Chen changed his words again. And at this moment, a huge black blade, the slash landed on Ulquiorra's body. The power of the slash wiped out his body in an instant. Just the pair of huge black wings in 2.6 that once covered the sky and the sun. Completely annihilated into gray dust. Boom. That's all. Among the loud noises, Ulquiorra's body. Almost in the blink of an eye, it became completely transparent and void. This one among the Espadas. The only strong man who has mastered the second stage of Return to Blade. Versus Bai Chen, destined to be reduced to a supporting role. And in the end, it was tragically obliterated. Chapter 171 Haweko Mundo is shocked. Advertise here. At the same time, the moment Ulquiorra was obliterated. Because of the second stage return, the Black Wing Demon's Reiatsu is simply too powerful. Therefore, as early as during the fighting, it spread to other areas. It has long been defeated by the Arrancar Legion in Zai Palace. And 3 others, sensed by Espada who was out hunting. But, Manos Grande and the Arrancars haven't even had time to figure it out yet. Why among Espada, Ulquiorra, who was ranked 4th, and Reiatsu, who returned to the sword, suddenly became twice as powerful. Just such a short gap. Reiatsu, the Black Wing Demon, actually disappeared. And it was erased and permanently destroyed without leaving any traces. Evaporate like nothingness. And such a sad ending. And a sudden and violent death. It also instantly caused panic and sensation throughout the entire Haweko Mundo land. Arrancar Legion. Everyone breaks the defense. Everyone is scared of this. At this time, in Zai Palace, the palace was already cold and empty. Because of Ulquiorra's death, there was an atmosphere of deathly silence. 22. Despair, depression, suffocation. This is the atmosphere right now. Outrageous. Disappeared. Ulquiorra's Reiatsu disappeared in an instant. Was this a devastating obliteration? Zael Aporo's eyes widened. His eyes were fixed on the surveillance screen, his eyes full of horror and panic. At this time, in the surveillance screen, regarding Ulquiorra's Reiatsu record, it shows a blank. That is to say, the pursuit took less than an hour. And the 4th Espada fought with all his strength by freeing his sword. EXX. In such a short period of time. It was completely obliterated. It was completely cold, although what was displayed on the monitoring screen was only records of real-time data, and no relevant battle scenes were played. Be it data, or Reiatsu perception, it's all on the surface. Ulquiorra's death is an established fact that cannot be denied. And the most unacceptable thing is, it was obvious that Ulquiorra's power was several times stronger than before, and once shocked the entire Arrancar Legion. But even so, still, in a very short period of time, it was crushed and obliterated. Doesn't this mean, as his opponent, Bai Chen, a strong man that even Aizen is afraid of? His strength, it must be beyond the scope of Shinigami. Do you possess the legendary and mysterious realm of Transcender? If not, it is simply impossible to kill the Black Wing Demon instantly. Master Harabel, thankfully you didn't express your stance at that time and went out to fight the Shinigami. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. That guy named Bai Chen is simply much scarier than Master Aizen. No wonder Tusen Kanami was killed by him. East platform. The subordinate officer Sun looked at Harabel and said tremblingly. Just now, after the second stage of the Black Wing Demon returns to the sword. The Reiatsu coming from the battlefield already made her whole body tremble. If Harabel hadn't been by his side to protect him. The pressure from Reiatsu alone is enough to make Sun suffocate and fall into coma on the spot. Such a terrifying stream of Reiatsu. It was completely erased in an instant. Think of this. Sun was immediately frightened to the extreme. She didn't even have the courage to imagine what kind of moves Bai Chen used to kill the Black Wing Demon in an instant. This is simply unimaginable. Even Ulquiorra was killed instantly. The other three espadas who are not as powerful as him, Neutra, Grimjow and others are even more dangerous. Around. Another subordinate officer, Rhodes. Covering his mouth, Ri Lien said in horror. Likewise, if she hadn't been protected, she would have been so frightened that she fell into a coma. After all, dead Ulquiorra, but among Hueco Mundo, one of the few is Vasto Lord Arankar. Unimaginable. Manos Grande at the highest level of life. When facing Shinigami, not only is he unable to fight back. Even the way of death was sudden death in an instant. The tragic end of the Blackwing Demon. It was an ending that Ross had never imagined, and it simply subverted her outlook on life. It brought an unprecedented shock. Well, hear the words of his subordinates. After deeply feeling their respective fears, Harabel's eyes dimmed and he sighed lonelily. Although Arankar has no emotions. Especially Espada, even more so. The moment Ulquiorra died, in Harabel's heart, the sadness of losing her companion inevitably arose. And that sigh she just made. I feel sad and sorry for the sudden death of the Black Wing Demon. After all, no matter what, Ulquiorra is the one among the Espada who is most loyal to Aizen and the most united to her companions. Past. As the steward of Zai Palace. When Aizen's three-person 147 group was away. Ulquiorra has always fulfilled her duties and maintained the order of Zai Palace with all her heart, and has avoided Espada's internal strife many times. Made it so within so many years. On the surface, the entire Arankar Legion is relatively monolithic. Unanimously hate Shinigami. Therefore, in Harabel's view, this death of Ulquiorra, for Hueco Mundo, and for the Arankar Legion, it is not just as simple as losing a strong man. It means division and loss of control. Representing Hueco Mundo, it is about to become lonely. From now on, the balance is broken, and the Shinigami are no longer opponents. This is the most distressing point. Well, it's the death of a companion again. This feeling is really uncomfortable. It's not just Harabel, Stark, also Vasto Lord, and head of Espada. The vicissitudes of life on the middle-aged man's face. At the same time, it is an expression of sadness, loneliness, and extreme melancholy. And besides sighing, Stark is even more worried about the lives of the other three Espadas. Just in case. Their next opponent is Captain Shinigami from another expedition. It also showed unexpected strength. Then, Grimjow and others will end up in danger. Chapter 172 Nailu and the Subordinate Officer. Advertise here. Back to the outside of Hueco Mundo. All members of the Arankar Corps were shocked and horrified by the scene that took place in Zai Palace. Bai Chen. He and the 9th Division led by him didn't think clearly. After a great war, this barren desert returned to peace. It became as dead as before. Bai Chen also withdrew his pupil power, released his complete body Susanoo, and walked back to the crowd with a calm expression. Weren't you scared? After arriving at the safe area, Bai Chen looked at the familiar people and showed a caring smile. But, in fact, even if you don't ask, it can also be seen from the expressions on the team members' faces. Even from the beginning of the battle, everyone retreated to such a long distance. But because of the perfect body Susanoo, the combat prowess displayed and the sheer scale of the towering force are simply too shocking. Therefore, the chief officers of Division 9 were still shocked. Even now, I have not completely recovered. Many people have it on their cheeks. There is still a long line of cold sweat hanging on it. It shows how complicated their emotions are at this moment. After all, faced with something like a miracle. And he is a Black Wing Demon of Vasto Lord level Arankar. Just like that, he was instantly killed by the Dark Martial God with a sword in front of him. This is something worthy of being recorded in history. No matter who you are, as long as you see it with your own eyes, you will never forget it. Captain Bai Chen, thanks to your protection, every one of us is safe. No one was hurt. As deputy captain, Rukia walked out of the crowd, came to Bai Chen, and said respectfully. At the same time, she looked at Bai Chen with eyes full of admiration and awe. One that goes beyond Shinigami. A powerful man who can sweep through the entire Hueco Mundo with just a move of his hands and feet. Any girl, everyone can't help but admire them. Not to mention the current Rukia. Her admiration for Bai Chen. After this battle, it was almost overflowing. But, it was beyond Rukia's expectation. Seeing that no one was injured. Bai Chen nodded slightly, and instead of gossiping, he suddenly issued an order. Rukia, now that Ulquiorra has been killed, it means that we have exceeded our expected goal. So next, you lead everyone and turn around and go back to the camp. Bai Chen said seriously. Rukia was stunned and asked, what about you? Captain Bai Chen, aren't you going to follow us back the same way? What's the situation? Captain Bai Chen discovered something, so is he going to look for it alone? It can be within 1,000 miles radius. Not even a shadow can be seen at all. Not to mention, the Blackwing Demon has just been killed. Even Manos Grande, the top of the Hueco Mundo food chain, was killed instantly. It is even less likely that there will be another Manos Grande or Arankar. You dare to approach without permission. Rukia doesn't understand. Why would Bai Chen suddenly issue such an order? However, face her doubts. Bai Chen didn't explain much, only leaving one sentence. I found several suspicious Reiatsu nearby. The figure under the white Captain Haori. He instantly disappeared on the spot and teleported away from everyone's eyes. Suspicious Reiatsu. Rukia frowned. Is it possible that there are other espadas coming to support? That's the only reason. I can barely explain it. Well, I hope there won't be any accidents. Shaked his head. Rukia sighed helplessly. Although I wanted to stay with Bai Chen all the time, in the end I could only obey orders. With the cooperation of the adjutant, the Shinigami, who jointly led the 9th team, returned the same way. Heading towards the place where the airdrop was originally made. That is, starting outside Hueco Mundo. And at the same time, just as the Shinigami of Division 9 were turning around and leaving collectively, Bai Chen disappeared. It also appeared in another desert area about a few kilometers away. Money is good. It's here. He got his wish. I found the 3 familiar escaping figures I sensed just now. Nailu, Pei Shui, Dong de Chaka. Bai Chen's figure stands in midair. The deep eyes were condescending, looking down at the desert land. At this time, within his sight range, 3 figures, 2 large and 1 small, are running away desperately. And these 3 people, it is none other than the former third espada. In the original plot, Nelu can be both a little Lolita and a royal sister in an instant. And her 2 loyal subordinate officers. Chapter 173 I can cure her. Advertise here. At this time, distance from the battle site. In a desert far away, 3 figures, 2 large and 1 small, were running away desperately. Obviously, they are weak. Even from a long distance, I still deeply feel Susanoo's terrifying coercion. And even the Black Wing Demon's Reiatsu disappeared. It's also crystal clear. Therefore, under extreme fear, Nelu has become smaller, as well as the 2 subordinate officers who have always followed and been loyal to her. Under the control of instinct, I had to escape desperately. That's why this scene happened now. Escape. Everyone, run away. Even Lord Ulquiorra has been wiped out. If we don't escape, the Shinigami will definitely kill the 3 of us. A childish milky sound. In an empty desert, it looks particularly clear. At this time, face tattooed, she has short lake green hair. Above the head is a broken, white bone mask. Nailu. Former third espada. Vasto Lord Arankar, who is an antelope knight. 390 due many years ago. Under the joint conspiracy of Neutra and Zael Aporo. Nailu was in the middle of the conversation with them. Unprepared, he was attacked by a sneak attack, and even his mask was broken. From then on, Nailu lost her former powerful strength. Not only was his body shrunk and his memory lost, he was also brutally thrown out of Zai Palace. Fortunately, the 2 subordinate officers never left him. When Nailu was at her lowest, he stayed by her side patiently, taking care of and protecting this weak and poor little girl. This made Nailu able to survive the harsh environment of Hueco Mundo. But, the 3 people who originally depended on each other for life. I had always stayed away from Zai Palace before, and only dared to move around the outskirts of Hueco Mundo. Unexpectedly, we happened to encounter the battle between Bai Chen and Ulquiorra. Despite the current location of Nailu and the others. In fact, there is still some distance from the battle location. But, the 3 of them knew it in their hearts. For the CCAB, powerful being who can obliterate Vasto Lord. This distance. In fact, it is not far away at all. Even in just a few breaths, you can arrive quickly and easily. Quote. No need to panic, no need to be afraid. Pei Shui and I will definitely do our best to protect you. Looking at the petite Nelu. On her young face, there was an expression that was about to cry. Has a salted egg mask. Donde Chaka wearing Madara outfit. He touched Nailu's head and comforted her with heartache. That's right, with the 2 of us here, you will be safe. The whole body is purple and white. Pei Shui, who looks like a termite, deliberately made funny faces in an attempt to make Nailu happy. Good thing. Under the hard coaxing of the 2 people. Nailu, who was almost scared out of her wits, finally calmed down a little. Really, Nailu said with tears gathering in her eyes, will the 3 of us really be safe? Of course. Little Nailu, when did Dongdashaka and I deceive you? Pei Shui grinned, showed a hearty laugh, try hard to make the atmosphere less heavy. But, just as he finished speaking, in the originally dead desert all around, Bai Chen's voice suddenly sounded. Yeah, you three, are you so naive that you think I didn't notice you? Bai Chen's figure appear with the sound. Like a god descending to earth, he appeared directly above Nailu and the others. They were startled in an instant. This is Shinigami. It's over. It's over. It's over. The three of us are indeed being targeted. And the powerful Captain Shinigami. I'm afraid he is completely dead this time. Saw the Black Death Tyrant outfit. And that moment with the white Captain Haori. Nailu, Peishui, and Dong Chaka immediately felt like their souls were out of body due to excessive panic. The brains of the three of them. Because of this, Wang suddenly became blank. Everyone was completely freaked out. You. Shinigami. Captain. Don't think you can do whatever you want. The two of us will definitely protect Nailu. Even though he was shaking with fear. Even speaking became intermittent and extremely difficult. But, suppressing fear, Peishui and Dong Chaka. After looking at each other, they each took a step forward and used their own bodies to cover Nailu behind them. Saw this move, Cypher smiled and remained still, not exuding any momentum. Instead, he said something unexpected to the two subordinate officers. The little Nailu you call. The original name is Nilildu Advanciac, she is the 30th predecessor and one of the most powerful female Arankar of Hawaiko Mundo. It's a pity that I was attacked by Neutra from behind, and I lost my power from then on, eventually degenerating into what I am now. When Bai Chen said it at the end, Pei Shui and Dong Dachaka, their pupils were shaking. I was so shocked that even my eyeballs flew out. I shouldn't have said a single word wrong about Nailu's past, right? Look at the shocked expressions of the two people. Bai Chen raised the corners of his mouth, revealing a satisfied smile. Then, before the two subordinate officers could raise questions, Bai Chen once again made an astonishing statement and said what they had dreamed of. Bai Chen said calmly, if I say, I have a way to make Nailu completely healed. You three, are you willing to follow me and become your subordinates? After hearing what Bai Chen said, Pei Shui and Dong Dachaka were stunned for a moment. Surprise suddenly appeared on his face, and he couldn't wait to ask. Captain Shinigami, isn't this a lie? Do you really have a way? Can you cure Lady Nelu? Chapter 174 A miracle happens. Perfect cure. Advertise here. Captain Shinigami, you just weren't lying, were you? Do you really have a way to heal Lady Nelu's injuries? After hearing what Bai Chen just said, the expressions of Pei Shui and Dong Dachaka suddenly changed in an instant. No more panic. I no longer feel afraid. Instead, he became more serious than ever before. And when calling Nailu, he also changed his name and added the word, sir, as an honorific. Actually, in the minds of these two loyal subordinate officials, Nelu has always been the powerful woman they admired back then, Arankar. Even though it's been so long. In order to avoid being hunted by other Manos Grande and Arankar, the three of them have been living a miserable life wandering around in the desert. J.A. Peishui and Dong Chaka never gave up hope. They have always believed that one day in the future, Nailu will definitely return to the top. Transform back into the heroic antelope knight of the third Espada. I didn't expect that. Now, the Shinigami Expeditionary Force massively invades Hawaiko Mundo. And Ulquiorra, who returned to the sword for the second time, had just been crushed and obliterated at a delicate time point. I originally thought it was Bai Chen who came to hunt. In front of them, he actually proposed that he could heal Nailu's injuries. Sudden surprise. For Peishui and Dong Chaka. It is simply an indescribable and wonderful fate. And this is why, the reason why their expressions will change dramatically in an instant. That's because, in Bai Chen, Pei and Dong Chaka saw hope. A person with power beyond the scope of Shinigami. Too bad, there really is a way to make Nailu completely healthy and recover. Do you think I look like the kind of person who jokes casually? Bai Chen stood with his hands behind his back. The powerful aura exuding from his body. Sandstorms appeared out of thin air in the surrounding barren desert. It was as if the entire land of Hawaiko Mundo could not bear his momentum. Look at the two of them. Bai Chen looked indifferent and continued. Not to mention, the fourth Espada you fear, Ulquiorra. It was completely wiped out by me just now. And as long as I have any murderous intentions, you three are not qualified to talk in front of me with your weak strength. Despite these words, I heard it means looking down on people. But, Bai Chen is also telling the truth. It can even be said that his tone and attitude are quite calm. In this regard, Peishui and Dong Chaka had nothing to say. The two of them were silent and did not refute, but nodded in agreement. Captain Shinigami, you are right. Even the Black Wing Demon has been killed. Not to mention minor characters like us. So, you should understand that you have no room for rejection, right? Bai Chen said calmly. The reason why he came up with the idea of recruiting Nailu and the others as his subordinates. There is no other reason. Except on a whim. Part of the reason is that I feel that the three of them, unlike the other Manos Grande and Arankar, have consciences and feelings. Not purely alien. Also, because of knowing Nailu's past. And he knows everything about her. While Bai Chen felt sympathy, he was also able to trust Nailu with confidence. That's why he offered to help. Captain Shinigami. No, Master Bai Chen. Pei Shui nodded suddenly. Emotionally, he prayed. As long as you can really cure Master Nailu, even if we too have to die, there will be absolutely no complaints. That's right. I don't hope that Lady Nelu can return to her peak, I just hope that her body can recover, and then the two of us will be satisfied. Donchaka nodded and said, although they don't question Bai Chen's strength. After all, the record is there, and Ulquiorra's death is the best proof. Strong combat power doesn't necessarily mean. In terms of healing power, Bai Chen is very handy. After all, Nailu's injury is not an ordinary injury. After being attacked from behind by Neutra, he brutally cut open the mask with a huge scythe. And for any Manos Grande or Arankar, a virtual mask was destroyed. Opening square bracket opening parenthesis. 013302022153120130. Strength stops growing. I will stop here for the rest of my life. What's more, Nailu's injuries are even more serious. She has even lost all her previous strength. But, just Peishui and Dong Chaka. Half of my heart was pleading, and the other half didn't have much hope. Bai Chen said disapprovingly, I know you don't have much confidence. But, I will be able to heal this little injury right away. Please give me flowers. Bai Chen's tone was calm. His face was extremely calm. It's like, in his eyes, saving lives and helping others regain their strength is nothing but a trivial matter. It's even easier than eating and drinking. Ah. Really, Master Bai Chen. You can really. However, the two subordinates haven't finished speaking. Bai Chen stopped paying attention to them and activated his ability instantly. Muji Cure, following Bai Chen's thoughts, integrated into the power of the spiritual king, the upgraded black spiritual power. Then it surged out from his body in an overwhelming and violent manner. Just for a moment, from all directions, with no blind spots, it wrapped around Nailu's petite body. 0.0. Then through the capillary blood pores on the skin surface. A steady stream of water penetrated into Nailu's body and treated her. What a powerful spiritual power this is. I even felt it, the unparalleled essence of life. Now, surround yourself with the huge Reiatsu. Pei Shui and Dong Dachaka opened their eyes in shock. Originally tired of escaping, strain, aches and pains in the body and limbs. In an instant, everything washed away and disappeared, just like a new life. What shocked them even more? The black spiritual power of those entities even enveloped Nailu's body just now. In just a few breaths, the healing effect came out immediately. Look, Lord Nelu's body has actually grown bigger. After absorbing the life energy, all her injuries healed in an instant. Pei Shui and Dong Dachaka were so excited that they almost cried. At this time, in their sight, Nelu is no longer a little girl, but has regained her adult size. The most important is, the broken mask on Nailu's body has been completely repaired and is no longer broken. And her breath, it has also become extremely weak from its original state. Recover quickly, become stronger, and continuously cross life levels. He actually once again has a powerful momentum comparable to Vasto Lord. And this is the result. Such a quick treatment process. It not only opened the eyes of Pei Shui and Dong Dachaka. It even made them subconsciously think that they were witnessing a miracle factory. Chapter 175 Back to the top, Royal Sister Nailu. Advertise here. No, isn't this really an illusion? Lord Nailu is actually, really almost healed. While watching helplessly, Nailu was originally petite and childish. Wrapped in black Reiatsu with the Muji healing ability. In just a few breaths, her body, not only did it recover quickly, it also grew bigger visibly to the naked eye. And the 703 level of life is also composed of the weakest ordinary virtual ones. Upgrade, advance, and evolve. First, he changed back to Jillian and returned to the level of Manos Grande. Then there are the Ajukas. Finally, he returned directly to the top and regained the momentum of Vasto Lord. When you see this happen with your own eyes. Pei Shui and Dong Dachaka opened their eyes in shock. Pupil earthquake. 3 views subverted. The brain's thoughts are even short-circuited in an instant. I can't believe what's happening before my eyes. Even in the eyes of the two subordinate officers, I am afraid that the miracles in the legend are nothing more than this. How about it? I have just said that what you desire and cannot do is just a trivial matter in my eyes. Look at the shocked expressions of the two people. A satisfied smile appeared on Bai Chen Junlang's face. Because of absorbing the power of the Spirit King before. Coupled with the God-level Senju Hashirama template, it has built-in Muji healing ability. Therefore, for Bai Chen, healing Nailu's injuries is really easier than eating and drinking. And, looking among the entities Reiatsu, Nailu gradually recovered from her childlike appearance and transformed into a beautiful lady. Bai Chen is also in a good mood. I can't help but find it pleasing to the eye. And at this time, in that area surrounded by black Reiatsu. After the treatment, Nelu's Reiatsu has completely stabilized. And her memory was also restored simultaneously. No longer naive, but remembering the past. Back when it was still the powerful third Espada. Everything I have ever experienced. Well, let out a muffled groan. Nailu slowly opened her eyes. Among the beautiful eyes, the first thing I saw was Bai Chen in front of me. When I saw what Bai Chen was wearing, after the white Captain Yori, and the black Death Tyrant outfit. Nelu's expression. Instantly it becomes more complex. She didn't care about adapting to the strength, but asked with doubts and confusion. Bai Chen, as a Shinigami captain, why did you suddenly fall from the sky and rescue the three of us? As opposing races, Shinigami and Manos Grande are naturally incompatible with each other. Aren't you afraid of being questioned and opposed by other Shinigami if you do this? Nailu asked from the bottom of her heart. In her opinion, Bai Chen had no reason to save himself. After all, her strength, it was considered very powerful back then. But now that times have changed, even if he has returned to the top now, he has not widened the gap with other espadas because he has wasted many years. Therefore, suppose Bai Chen needs a powerful subordinate. Then there is even less reason to go out of your way to take a fancy to yourself. However, Nailu just finished asking on 2.7. Bai Chen immediately gave the answer. The reason is simple. Nailu, I sympathize with your past. I also recognize your strength. And, I also need a loyal subordinate. So, as a grateful person, you shouldn't refuse my invitation, right? Bai Chen smiled. In front of Nailu, he sincerely extended the invitation again. Chapter 176 New Goal, open up a black channel. Advertise here. Nailu, how about it? Have you thought about it? Follow me and become my subordinate, and I will take you out of Hueco Mundo with me. In front of Nailu, Bai Chen once again sincerely extended the invitation. And this time, maybe it's because he has a kind personality and knows how to repay kindness. Or maybe it's because I no longer have any attachment to Hueco Mundo and the Arankar Legion. Nailu didn't think for long. Facing Bai Chen's gaze, he nodded slightly and replied firmly. Bai Chen, honestly, the cure you just gave me a chance to be reborn. It allowed me to regain everything I had in the past. If it hadn't been for your sudden appearance, perhaps Peishui, Dongdashaka and I would have continued to sink in the future until one day we were completely hunted to death. Nailu's tone was full of gratitude. And there was obvious intimacy in the eyes looking at Cypher. It is undeniable that Shinigami and Manos Grande are opposing species. 22 and Nelu was once the third espada given a serial number by Aizen. But, from the moment memory is restored, for past deeds, everything that has been experienced, Nailu doesn't take it seriously at all. No nostalgia at all. Now, it was like she had truly experienced a rebirth. The only ones he cares about are the two subordinate officers who have always been by his side, and Bai Chen, who has been given a second life. So, wherever you go next, Nelu will definitely follow you to the death. I will always be by your side. Nailu's heart was determined. The sonorous and powerful voice spread throughout this vast desert. In front of Bai Chen, and in front of two subordinate officers. Made a pledge of loyalty. Lord Nailu, after hearing these words, Pei Shui and Dong Dachaka had very complicated expressions. Unexpectedly, how long has it been? Nailu, just a young child, completely recovered and returned to her original state. He has even become someone else's subordinate now. Compared, Pei Shui and Dong Dachaka's first reaction. I just feel very uncomfortable. After all, their original identities were that they were subordinate officers to Nailu, and they were the most loyal subordinates around Nailu. But now, instead, Nailu became Bai Chen's subordinate. So, what is the relationship between yourself and Bai Chen? And at this time, it seemed that they saw the difficulty of the two subordinate officers. Bai Chen raised his eyes, looked at them, and said in a welcoming tone. Pei Shui, Dong Dachaka, from this moment on, you have the right to choose a new identity. Either continue the past, continue to protect Nailu, and at the same time become my subordinates. Either get freedom and leave here without any restraints. But from now on, you will have nothing to do with Nailu. Bai Chen gave two options. The main reason is that the strength of Pei Shui and Dong Chaka is indeed too weak. If you force them to stay with you, it's actually quite tasteless. More like, always carrying two soy sauce bottles. But, if they are willing to follow loyally, Bai Chen will not refuse. After all, these two Arankars, unlike the other Manos Grande, are essentially good. Result. There was barely any hesitation. Pei Shui and Dongdashaka quickly made a decision. Master Bai Chen, both of us will never leave Nailu and will always be her subordinate officers. At the same time, I will also be loyal to you and sacrifice my life for you. In return for your savior to Lord Nelu. The tone was firm. No regrets. Pei Shui and Dongdashaka made their choice. That's all. The fate of the three people will completely change from now on. And the topic of surrender ends here. And next, for the next step plan. Nailu asked curiously. Sir Bai Chen, I have a question. Nailu was very curious. I hesitated for a long time. Nailu was still thinking about whether she should ask. In the end, in order to completely clear up the doubts, she couldn't help but speak. Nailu, you probably want to ask, if the 9th Division led by me, or other Shinigami from the Expeditionary Force, see you, will they accept you, right? The corners of Bai Chen's mouth turned up. Look into Nelu's eyes, said confidently. That's right. Nailu nodded with a solemn expression, the three of us are Yingsu after all. We are aliens in the eyes of the Shinigami. If others strongly object, won't this affect you, Mr. Bai Chen? Nailu's first consideration. It is not a security issue of its own. But because of his identity, will it cause trouble to Bai Chen? Thus affecting his new master. Shaked his head. Bai Chen disapproved and gave the answer. Nailu, don't worry. With my status and strength, whether it is the chief officer of the 9th team or the Shinigami of other teams, they will only have doubts at most, and it is impossible to openly oppose it. Moreover, Bai Chen changed the topic. Related content will no longer be discussed. Instead, he revealed his next plan. Because before, I have asked the adjutant to take the others back to the camp first. Therefore, at this moment, I don't plan to return immediately to gather. But I hope to take the three of you to open up a brand new black cavity channel and reach that mysterious shadow space. Speaking of which, in Bai Chen's mind, one thing immediately came to mind: the founder of the Quincy, Yuhabach. And the Knights of the Star Cross he founded. And the Invisible Empire. Past. For thousands of years. This is the fourth group that is different from Shinigami, Manos Grande, and humans. After failing in the 1,000-year bloody battle. So he has been hiding in the large shadow space constructed by using the collection of spirit suns. And the specific location. It's actually inside the shadow of the Seraiti building. And not long after, Bai Chen has just obtained the technical ability to cross the black cavity from Kuritsuchi Mayuri, and now he has conquered Nailu and the others as his subordinates. Thus, crossing the black cavity becomes a piece of cake. It's not a difficult thing anymore. Therefore, Bai Chen's current thoughts. This is to strike while the iron is hot, while the large-scale cleanup task has been completed and the entire Hawako Mundo is in turmoil. From the Hawako Mundo side, open up a new, special black cavity channel. So that we can finally reach the shadow space and invade the Invisible Empire. Chapter 177 Leaving Hawako Mundo. Advertise here. Soon after, the outskirts of Hawako Mundo, in a deserted area. Snap. Several figures appeared out of thin air in succession. It was Bai Chen, Nailu, Pei Shui, Dong Chaka and others. Just choose this place. This area is not only far away from Zai Palace, but also far away from the base camp of the expeditionary force. Opening a dark passage here will not cause any noise, and outsiders will not be able to notice it. White feathers flutter. Bai Chen raised his eyes, Eternal Mangekyo, and looked up at the front. Although this is not yet the border of Hawako Mundo. They did not reach the location of the legendary, boundary wall. But, for Bai Chen, this location is enough. With powerful spiritual power, the surging eye power of Eternal 770 Mangekyo, and the black cavity technology obtained from Kuritsuchi Mayuri. Bai Chen is confident, with the assistance of Nailu and others. Even if it was his first attempt, he was confident of opening up a stable black channel. Then get into it. Explore and advance all the way until you reach the mysterious shadow realm. Master Bai Chen, I think that if you want to reach the Quincy territory you mentioned, you must go through the boundary. It is rumored that there will be police officers there to clean up everything. When the time comes, you should have a way to deal with Jutu, right? Nailu asked seriously. At the same time, a look of worry flashed across her beautiful eyes. As Vasto Lord, the once mighty Third Espada. In the past, Nailu had the experience of walking through a black cavity more than once. Plus what Aizen and Zael Aporo told us about the relationship between Hawako Mundo, cynicism, and soul society. Nailu is naturally aware of the existence of Jutu. Therefore, she couldn't help but worry. What if Jutu suddenly appears during the process of entering the black cavern and crossing the boundary? For this thing that is beyond the rules, it seems that there is nothing we can do to deal with it. But, after hearing what Nailu said, Bai Chen's expression remained unchanged, as calm as ever. Looking back, he smiled and said confidently, Nailu. You three, just don't worry. Since I am confident that I want to find the territory of a pure Quincy, I must have considered the existence of Jutu, CCFF. When the time comes, even if I meet Jutu head-on, I am confident that I can defeat it. In Bai Chen's words, full of determination. At the same time, while he was speaking, in the eye sockets, Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan burst out with surging eye power. The next moment, boom, the sound of space tearing suddenly sounded. Then, in front of Bai Chen, there was originally empty air. Suddenly, a huge, black crack appeared. Suddenly, a powerful wave of time and space continuously spread out from it. In a blink, black cavity channel molding, under the continuous influence of Bai Chen's Reiatsu, which stands at the top of Shinigami, it not only takes shape quickly, but is also extremely stable. Quote. Pei Shui, Dong de Cha Ka. Let's set off. After entering the black cavity passage, I hope to open a path to the shadow realm in the shortest possible time. Bai Chen is the first to bear the brunt. Take a step forward and take the lead into the black passage. Subsequently, there are three people, Nailu, Pei Shui and Dong Chaka. After looking at each other, they followed Bai Chen's back and walked in with the same trust. And after the three of them disappeared, the black cavity passage quickly closed, and the air returned to its original state. It's like nothing happened before. And this also means that the Hawako Mundo expedition has come to an end for the time being. Next, Bai Chen's goal. He led Nailu and others to invade the Invisible Empire unexpectedly. Chapter 178 The Sudden Arrival. Advertise here. Soon after. It is dark and lightless, with no end visible at a glance, in the long black passage. There was a sound of running. I saw only 4 people, Bai Chen, Nailu, Pei Shui, and Dong Chaka, walking through the black passage, constantly moving forward. Master Bai Chen, why do I feel like something is getting more and more wrong? There seems to be some kind of danger hidden in the dark, which is constantly approaching us. Pei Shui frowned, looking around at the dark, claustrophobic environment. He couldn't help but feel a little scared, and the uneasy premonition deep in his heart became stronger and stronger. Although currently, all is well, and there is Bai Chen taking the lead. There is no need to worry about encountering any enemy attacks. After all, this is a black cavity. It is a forbidden area that is difficult for most powerful people to reach in the Shinigami world. Unless inside Zai Palace, the top 3 Espadas, Stark, Baragon, and Haribel, joined forces to pursue them. If not, now, following Bai Chen, there is no doubt that it is absolutely safe. Walking in endless darkness, Pei Shui felt more and more that there was an unspeakable sense of danger. For him who only has the strength of Jillian, this feeling of danger seriously affected his thoughts. It made Pei Shui's whole body and even his movements become sluggish. Pei Shui, don't be nervous. Nailu in front of her comforted her. The reason why you feel scared is because Jutu is gradually approaching. Sir Bai Chen, am I right? Beautiful eyes flow. Nailu looked at Bai Chen's back and said softly and respectfully. That's right. Bai Chen nodded noncommittally and reminded. With Reiatsu perception, I can clearly feel that Jutu is getting closer and closer. If you guessed it right, because we stayed for a long time. As a boundary scavenger, it has already set its sights on us. Even though the danger is coming. However, Bai Chen's expression was still very calm. I am not afraid that the unexpected event is coming, but I am looking forward to it. To know, Jutu is very special and is not a soul body. It's something outside of the rules. And just after sweeping Hawako Mundo. And possesses power beyond the Shinigami summit. For Bai Chen, Jutu is undoubtedly a perfect opponent. Please give me flowers. This is a perfect opportunity for him to test the limits of his own strength. Although, just as Bai Chen finished speaking. Ahead, at the end of the dark passage, suddenly there was a burst of bright light. And it is also accompanied by a unique sound similar to the roar of a train. And sudden changes occurred. 0. It immediately attracted everyone's attention, and the atmosphere instantly became solemn. Let's see. Kutu has indeed appeared. Later, anything that blocks its path will be eradicated by violence. The strong wind blowing in my face. He took off his Captain Yori and his death domination outfit. Bai Chen stopped and stood still, his eyes gradually becoming fiery. Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan bursts out with a burst of majestic eye power. Fit. The dark spiritual power in his body is also brewing crazily. Bai Chen is thoroughly prepared. Later, he will try his best to crush Gudu head-on. Relying on his strongest strength. Wipe out this strange regular thing and wipe it out violently. Chapter 179 The power is sublimated and the Jutu is defeated. Advertise here. Woo. At this time, as the roar got closer. With the help of flickering light, Bai Chen and others finally saw clearly what Jutu looked like in the darkness. Sudden. Looking from a distance, it is a neat black object. Not only is it huge, it's huge. And while it's moving at high speed, there's a strange shimmering light above its head. And now this burst of light illuminates the black cavity passage. It is the emanation of Jutu. But, because Jutu moves extremely fast. In less than a moment, from the end of the field of vision, it was right in front of you. He was about to be crushed head-on. When feeling the strong wind of Reiatsu. After blowing on the face. Pei Shui and Dong Dachaka were trembling. The body was so frightened that it turned into an Arankar and curled up into a ball of 830. As for Nailu, on top of the beautiful face with red face. At the same time, he had a solemn expression with a slightly furrowed brow. The loose white clothes fluttered in the strong wind of Reiatsu. While outlining the perfect body lines. Always ready for battle. Yes, although in cognition, Jutu, as a rule thing, cannot be defeated. But, Bai Chen is here. Nailu firmly believes that in this battle, a miracle will definitely happen. Later, Bai Chen leads them deep into the dark side. They will definitely save the day and move forward after killing Jutu. At this time, over time, the huge body shape enlarged infinitely, completely blocking him in front of him. Master Bai Chen, what should we do? Pei Shui asked anxiously. We have no way to retreat. Kutu is about to crush us from the front. At this time, his voice kept trembling, even if it weren't for Bai Chen's protection in front of him. I'm afraid Pei Shui was so frightened that he was completely prepared to wait for death. However, Bai Chen's next answer, but it was beyond everyone's expectations. With his back to everyone, Bai Chen ordered confidently without looking back. Nailu, Pei Shui, Donde Chaka. You 3, retreat back. Just retreat as far as you can. To avoid being accidentally injured later. After saying that, before anyone could respond, Bai Chen took a step forward, and the spiritual power in his body quickly condensed. Boom! Reiatsu exploded. The black spiritual power surged out from Bai Chen's body in a huge amount, instantly causing the black cavity channel to vibrate violently. Not only that, because of Bai Chen's dark spiritual power, whether it is mass or density, they have reached an extremely terrifying point. It actually caused Ju-Tu's forward speed to slow down significantly. It was obviously seriously affected. What a powerful spiritual power. So this is Master Bai Chen's true strength of going all out. No wonder someone as powerful as the Black Wing Demon was instantly killed by him with one blow. Behind Bai Chen, Pei Shui and Dong Dechaka opened their eyes wide with shocked expressions on their faces. Now, shrouded in the Reiatsu storm, their whole bodies were unable to move, their hands and feet seemed to be filled with lead, and it was difficult to even perform the simplest lifting action. What are you still doing? Retreat quickly, otherwise it will only hinder Mr. Bai Chen. Fortunately, there is still Nailu. As Vasto Lord, Nailu was also shocked by Bai Chen's powerful Reiatsu. But, at least she could move around freely. Not that under Reiatsu's oppression, even the right to control the body was deprived. Ever since, with the help of Nelu, the two subordinate officers fled backwards with great difficulty. And at this time, Bai Chen confronts Ju-Tu, after confirming that the companion has escaped from the safe range. Ju-Tu, in the original plot, Aizen merged with Hogyoku and evolved. He once erased you as a transcendent. And now, I still belong to the identity of Shinigami. If I can defeat you, it will prove. My current strength is already at the same level as Aizen at that time. While muttering quietly to himself, Bai Chen raised his hand and cast Wuyin, instantly turning on Sage mode. The next second, boom, following Bai Chen's thoughts. On Toshiro's face, a dazzling light flashed. Then, dark red facial lines appeared on Bai Chen's face. At the same time, his breath, it also skyrocketed in an instant. In the blink of an eye, it improved several times, breaking through the top of Shinigami in one fell swoop. It was so powerful that even the entire black cavity channel seemed unable to withstand the momentum, and actually shook violently at an exaggerated amplitude. It seems to be about to collapse. And this scene. Bai Chen's over-the-top Reiatsu. Nailu and the three people who had fled far away could not help but stop in shock again, and exclaimed in disbelief. This momentum is too terrifying. I'm afraid even Captain Shinigami, the legendary strongest Shinigami in millennia, is nothing more than this. It seems that Lord Bai Chen is really capable of defeating Ju-Tu. Pei Shui was stunned. Dong Chaka was dumbfounded. Nailu was stunned in place, with a complex look in her beautiful eyes. Due to the past many years, the three of them have been living a life of wandering. I actually don't know much about the means to become stronger. Not even hollow. I have only heard of it, but never witnessed it with my own eyes. And just now, what Bai Chen performs is above hollow. Sage mode with almost no weaknesses or side effects. Therefore, it is inevitable that Nailu and the three of them will be shocked. And at this time, to their amazement, as a party involved, Bai Chen ignored it. All of his current energy is focused on Ju-Tu. Then, when the exponentially increasing Reiatsu gradually becomes stable, Bai Chen reached out, touched his back, and held the Zanpakutō fire extinguishing fan. Raise your hand. Swing the knife forward. After accumulating strength 1.6, he slashed a huge flaming slash towards Ju-Tu in front of him. Boom. Fire slash. Burn space. When crossing the air, the aura of destruction emanating from it. Along the way, the entire black cavity passage became distorted and collapsed, making the surrounding area even larger. Become chaotic and unstable, completely unbearable, the peak power of Bai Chen in his heyday. Finally, there are three people including Nailu, Pei Shui and Dong Chaka. In the eyes of shock and expectation, a huge flame slash swept everything. When rolling forward in front of Ju-Tu, it was hit hard head-on. The explosion produced at this moment directly penetrated the entire black cavity. This creates a huge disconnected space. He was quickly submerged in the blazing firestorm light. Chapter 180 Find the Shadow Space. Advertise here. Boom. Fire slash. One hit. In Nailu, Pei Shui, Donde Chaka and others. Under the horrified gaze, Ju-Tu saw the huge black figure crushing over from the front. After being hit by flame slash, not only was there no resistance at all. Just so helpless. Split in two by the blazing flames. The huge black shadow group collapsed at a speed visible to the naked eye. In just a few breaths. From the beginning, it occupied the entire black cavity channel. Instead, it becomes collapsed, disintegrated, subdivided and then dissipated. Finally completely disappeared from sight. And until the moment Ju-Tu was killed. Nailu and the three of them, not yet in shock, completely recovered. Everyone has the same shocked expression on their faces. Even if I saw it with my own eyes, I still find it incredible. It was as if I had witnessed a miracle that could never happen. This is too exaggerated. Ju-Tu, one of the regular things, was actually killed. And the process of destruction was so simple. Doesn't this mean that Lord Bai Chen's 22 powers are already above the rules? It's simply unbelievable. Pei Shui was stunned on the spot. The eyes under the virtual mask were filled with a strong look of shock. Look at the embers of fire burning everywhere. And in the black cavity passage, after Jutu was killed. Those residual traces left on the ground. Pei Shui covered her chest. Couldn't help but exclaimed. Next to him, the fat and bloated Don Chaka broke out in a cold sweat because he was also too shocked. Don Chaka sighed. No wonder there are always rumors in Hawako Mundo. In Shinigami's Gote 13, a character who even Aizen can't mess with is born. Now it seems that Master Bai Chen's strength is much more terrifying than the rumors. He is simply one of the strongest people in the world. Don Chaka said from the bottom of his heart. Even before this battle, he was absolutely loyal to Bai Chen. But, after witnessing the process of Jutu being obliterated, Don Chaka's admiration for Bai Chen instantly reached the point of worshipping him. Yes, at this moment, just looking at Bai Chen's back, he couldn't help but want to kneel down. In the eyes of Donde Chaka, Bai Chen, like a master, possesses the most powerful power to break the rules. And this power, but Aizen, as the Lord of Hawako Mundo, rules the entire Arankar Legion. A powerful strength that I have never had before. Master Bai Chen, are you okay? At this moment, Nailu took the initiative to move forward. After approaching Bai Chen, he asked with concern. Unlike the two subordinate officers, her relationship with Bai Chen is closer. Except for shock and shock. Nailu was also particularly concerned about Bai Chen's spiritual energy consumption just now. After all, the opponent is a tough one. A powerful rule thing. It's impossible for anyone to just ignore the rules after breaking the rules, right? However, faced with Nailu's concern, after confirming that the arrest is no longer possible, Bai Chen first deactivated Sage Mode. Immediately he turned around, met Nailu's eyes, and said with a calm smile. Nailu, don't worry, I'm fine. Bai Chen smiled. His smile was full of confidence and he looked calm and calm. In fact, it is indeed the case. The power was sublimated and he killed Jutu, which was an act that could be called a miracle. In fact, for Bai Chen, it's not much different from previous battles. It's just that the opponent is more special and consumes slightly more spiritual power. That's good. Hear Bai Chen's answer. And after feeling the affinity exuded in Bai Chen's smile, Nailu patted her chest. He breathed a sigh of relief. Just now, the moment when Jutu came over from the front. Nailu was worried first. It is not the safety of my own life and that of subordinate officers. Instead, she felt worried for Bai Chen, fearing that the man who gave her rebirth would be crushed because he could not compete with Jutu. Good thing. Bai Chen did not disappoint. And it also showed the powerful power to subvert three views. This also made Nailu admire him even more. And worshipping the strong is the nature of any woman. As the former third espada, Nailu was even more so. This moment, she swore secretly, because of these two life-saving graces. In the future, no matter what happens, Nailu will always follow Bai Chen to the death and never leave him. Subsequently, after adjusting their status, under the leadership of Bai Chen, everyone once again moved forward along the black cavity passage, heading towards the destination, the Shadow Realm. Finally, when walking through one of the forks, with his strong perception ability, Bai Chen discovered a faint hint of the Queen of Space and Time power spilling out of it. Suddenly stopped. A gleam of surprise burst out in his eyes. We seem to have found it. The corners of Bai Chen's mouth rose. His usually calm expression suddenly became excited. The further you go along the fork, the stronger the feeling becomes. Even with the powerful insight that comes with the eternal Mangekyo, Bai Chen emerged from the darkness in the distance. I saw a looming mass of white light. The moment you see the white light, Bai Chen immediately came to a conclusion. Here. The source of the white light group. This is the destination he is looking for. In the Shadow Realm, on the outskirts of the Invisible Empire, is the ice and snow plain. Master Bai Chen, are we here? Nailu's expression gradually became serious, and she asked softly, is that mysterious space in front of me the territory of a pure Quincy? That's right. Bai Chen looked back. He nodded and warned. Nailu, you three, be ready for battle at any time. Later, once we leave the black cavity and enter the Shadow Realm. If I guess correctly, once we land on the ice and snow plain, you will be sensed by the Invisible Empire immediately. When the time comes, a war will be inevitable. Okay.